Ship Stadium. Built originally for the Lillehammer Winter Olympics, this is the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix. And round one, of course, is live. It's 10-round GP series, and you can see them all here on Sky Sports. Hello and a warm welcome to another fantastic Grand Prix Speedway World Series. I can say fantastic even before we've seen a race just by virtue of the cities and stadia we'll be visiting this year. More about that in a moment, though. First, let me introduce you to today's guests. Not that they really need it. Former Speedway World Champion and regular television pundit Sam Malenko, and former World Long Track Champion and Sky Sports resident Speedway expert Kelvin Tatum. Nice to see you both here. I mean, I know that you two are very, very keen on this year's series. Yeah. It's much improved, it would seem, not only in the stadium, but we've got some rule changes that we'll be going through as well. You looking forward to it, Kelvin?
I am very much, Keith. You mentioned the stadia that we're going to. That's very impressive on its own, and I think the expansion of the Grand Prix Series is only to be applauded.
What about the way that these riders line up this year, Sam? I mean, the new system is going to work well for the seeded guys?
I think at the way it's going, it's a long season for them right now. They're just trying to do all their domestic racing, run their championships. It's a long season. Somebody wants to beat that world champion, Tony Rickardsson.
Indeed. Well, it's the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix, as I've said, and what a venue. The Viking Ship Stadium at Hamar, just 45 minutes up the road from the Norwegian capital, Oslo. It's something very special indeed for Speedway. It was built in 1994 for the Winter Olympics and offers the fans a unique view of not just the track, but the pits too, all under one roof. Big question, though, gentlemen, here in the studio is, can anybody catch Tony Rickardsson? He had a superb year last year, didn't he?
He certainly did, and he kept Jason Crump really under control. I think, you know, he may have had to have upped his game if Jason had had a better first round, but certainly he was outstanding all year.
And he's looking good again this year. Can anybody catch him, Sam?
Well, he's going for that ultimate World Championship record to beat Ivan Major, the all-time great. I mean, Tony's setting the pace. He's a class rider. He's full package. See how he goes on this time.
Tony Rickardsson is the defending Speedway World Grand Prix champion. Let's hear what the man has to say about his year and how he's going to attempt to win it again.
Feel pretty good, you know. We had a good practice yesterday, and I feel relaxed and confident for today's meeting, but you never know what's going to happen. I just got to go out there and wind it on as hard as I can and see how far up we can climb.
Rickardsson starts at favourite, but it's the young Australian Jason Crump who starts as his main rival. Many think he could upset the Swedes' master plan. Let's hear what he says.
Excited, a little bit nervous, of course. Start of the new year and start of the new series, but you know, I had a relatively good practice day yesterday and felt as comfortable as I could expect, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm pretty optimistic. You know, I'm really pretty determined to have a good meeting, a good first round, because that more or less sets the tempo for the rest of it. And if you can stay in that top 8, it just makes life a little bit easier.
Two ways of looking at it. If tonight doesn't go as good as I hope, then I've got another 9 to make up for it. And if it does go good, I've got another 9 to try and be consistent. So it's a long road ahead, but I'm very excited about it. I've worked hard, and it took me a long time to get.
It's a brand new season, you know, so nobody knows. It's a different game, you know, so it would be a tough year, you know, but if I could go in and manage, you know, to do it, and of course I want to do it, but if you do your best, then you can't do any better.
It is going to be a tough year. 24 Grand Prix riders are up for it. 4 of them are British. Let's take a look at the contenders. Kelvin, can Mark Laram ever do it again?
I certainly think he can. Keith, he's riding better than ever this year, and he looks relaxed.
Coldstone, you are Workington's favourite. Sam, what about his chances?
Well, I think he wants to do better than he has done and stay out of that challenge at the end.
23 years old, Scott Nichols, new boy on the block, Kel.
Full of potential, certainly a red-hot favourite for us here in England, and really looking good. One with a lot to race for.
Andy Smith, no league ride, Sam, but back in the Grand Prix. How does he do it?
He's short? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Andy Smith then out in the Grand Prix, and he always rises to the occasion. I will avoid the heightest remark that you made then, Sam.
Fantastic.
Kelvin, it's going to be a great year, isn't it? I mean, this stadium looks fantastic. they've done a lot of mileage on this track yesterday in qualifying, but they've got a new mix as well as far as the surface is concerned. Talk us through what
I
they've been
don't
up to.
quite know exactly what the story is, but Sam was telling me prior to the show that they've actually mixed some talcum powder in with the sand, and there is a specific computer that's that sort of mixed it all together.
Well, this man could come up smelling of roses then. Scott Nicholls, of course, as we now look at the lineup. These are live pictures coming from the Viking ship. And talk us through, boys. You know all of these
Pedersen there
guys.
that's just, we just saw there, he's back to full fitness.
Sam?
Yeah, well, Greg, he's a fellow American, as we know. Determined to do better than he did last year, I know that.
Nicholas Kingberg, actually, that's my man. And
well, you better stop talking about him now.
Okay. I wish him the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Indeed, so do we. Oh, and so does she.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And there he is, Mark Loram, former world champion, Sam.
Yeah, pressure's off of him this year. He's not the world champion, reigning world champ. He's going out there clean sheet, hopefully to do better, prove everybody, critics wrong.
Todd Wiltshire, he's a little bit unknown, really. He's not riding the elite league, so I'm not quite sure where his form's at.
Michael Carlson, this guy's determined to do good. I kind of rate him like Crumpy at the moment. He's kind of an unknown, hasn't really glossed, but potentially good.
Billy, he's had a slow start to the season, had a lot of mechanical failures, but you never count him out. He's a real gutsy performer.
Lee Adams, well, the all-time great as far as consistency goes, but he hasn't really clicked in the Grand Prix, and it's the second time to do it.
I think this man could throw up a surprise this evening. He's riding really full of confidence and seems to be getting better every year.
This guy, will he ever do it? Kelvin, will he do it?
I have my doubts now. I think his best chance may have gone, but he's an entertainer and a fantastic.
Well, that was Thomas
talent.
Golub, of course, you were talking about. Oh, look at Jason Crump. How about that for a bit of focus?
Well, absolutely. He is a man on a mission. He wants to be world champion. He's coming in with a slight injury, but never count him out.
Tony Rickardson, what a guy. All-time
He is
great.
the main man.
He is, definitely.
He is the main man. He seems to have everything under control. It's going to be very hard to beat.
Tony Rickardson starts this event at 9-4 favourite as far as the meeting is concerned. With Jason Crump, I've got to say, close in behind him, and Golub in third place regarding the betting, and you can't really argue with that too much. Golub is a man I want to focus on just a fraction with you two guys if I can, because massive talent, but a fragile head, maybe.
Yeah, temperament lets him down, no question about it. You know, I witnessed it at the Grand Prix last year. He seemed to lose the plot at times and throw away opportunities to put a really strong result together.
We talked about his backup, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were talking about pre-show here.
But he's
not
up
good
against
enough, not good enough.
two exceptional people as far as bravery and consistency are concerned, Crump and Rickardson. Rickardson in particular consistency, but Crump, as far as I'm concerned, is a very brave rider. I'll get straight up off the floor. I mean, when you've got that kind of combination in front of you.
Tough to beat, you know, and those guys are at the height of their powers. You know, the Crumpy's the man that's coming. You know, Rickardson seems to be the man that's got it all under control. I think Golub, he struggles with that. I think mentally he really does struggle with it. The talent is there, but whether he's got the temperament.
I think he outthinks himself, if you know what I mean. He goes out there and he really tries to figure it out. Last year at Cardiff, took the wrong gate when he had choice, didn't he?
Yeah.
OK, well, we'll find out just how much he outthinks himself. Indeed, who does what very soon from the Viking Stadium. This is the Viking Stadium. We're at round one of the Speedway Grand Prix 2002. Let's take a break. We'll be back with the action.
Finally, Naz is back. Plus, Michael Brody fights Mexico's Juan Carlos Ramirez for the WBF featherweight title. Two world champs, Wayne Rigby, Colin Dunn, put their belts on the line. The main event, Prince Nassim against the European champion Manuel Calvo. 3 world title fights, a huge night of boxing. Next Saturday at 8 on Sky Box Office. You can order this event for $14.95. See Channel 770 for details.
Inside you are millions of places you've yet to see, and millions of people you've yet to meet. Inside you, the history of the world unfolds. Inside you, everything exists, and yet you've space for so much more. Inside you lives tomorrow's internet today. Larger, simpler, freer. Tiscali 10.0, the next generation internet service.
Citroën Zara Picasso. Free your mind. Celebrate the success of Britain's best-selling MPV and get a new 1.6 ISX for only $11,995 with air conditioning at no extra cost until the end of May.
Welcome back to the Sky Sports studio for round one of the Speedway Grand Prix 2002. With me still here in the studio, Samo Malenko, former World Speedway champion, 3 times World Long Track champion Kelvin, and we will be on it very, very soon because here we are already. Let's go to trackside and Tony Millard and, of course, Peter Collins for the commentary of the opening heat, which lines up Mark Laram, Andy Smith, Rooney Holter and Kai Laukkonen. Tony.
Yes, well, a new Grand Prix in a new venue. The track, for anybody that's familiar, is just like that at Cardiff, really, 275 metres, exactly the same overall length, the straight 3 metres longer. And we heard you talking about it, well, I can tell you, 1,600 tonnes of dirt have gone on with 200 tonnes of talcum powder. This is the Grand Prix, and this is Mark Laram in the red helmet colours will go from the inside, the 2000 World Champion. The man in the yellow helmet colours on the outside, Kai Laukkonen, his full Grand Prix debut for Laukkonen from Finland. In between them in the blue helmet colours, that's Andy Smith, a perennial man, of course, from the Grand Prix qualifier. And Rooney Holter is the man in the white helmet colours. This, Peter Collins alongside me, one we fancy Mark Laram for, isn't it?
Yes, Mark Laram off gate 1, best start position to be on gate 1. We had a few ruts develop here yesterday in practice, but they've worked so hard here, the track staff, to get this track right. And here we go for heat 1.
Yes, our referee is Tony Steele, of course, from Britain. Our starting marshal getting very, very busy early on. Remember, 4 laps, club start. The starting marshal walks away, or they nearly jump the tapes away. They go on the outside in yellow. Kai Laukkonen gets a good start, but Mark Laram on the inside in the red helmet colour holds them well. He's tracked by Andy Smith in blue. Great Britain 1 and 2. Holter back in 3rd place. Back at the rear in yellow. That's Kai Laukkonen, but a perfect start, Peter, for Mark Laram.
Yes, a good advantage for Mark Laram to come off gate 1 in heat 1. He held the line perfectly there. At the moment, it's the shortest way around the circuit to stay very, very tight. Not a lot of grip outside at the moment, but that will develop as we go through tonight's meeting.
We don't know how the surface will go. It's over a course of 500-metre ice track here for speed skating. But the mix, they say, is right. The riders had plenty of practice yesterday, and Mark Laram, who we saw on Thursday, looks to be enjoying it. Plenty of time to look back as he goes into the final lap. And Mark Laram having this exactly as he wants. Britain 1 and 2, and Andy Smith, for him it's going to be a change to move through to the next stage of the Grand Prix without having to struggle. Mark Laram is going to take the checkered flag in red with time to look back. Andy Smith in blue takes 2nd place. 3rd in yellow is Kai Laukkonen. Disappointment for Rooney Holter. Holter and Laukkonen will have to go again, but a tremendous ride for Mark Laram. We saw him in fine style at Eastbourne in midweek, and he's the winner, the first ever winner of a heat here in the Viking Ship Stadium at Hamar. The first ever heat winner of a Norwegian Grand Prix. Just the start that Mark Laram wanted, and Mark enjoyed that.
Yes, off the start, Mark Laram on gate 1. He looks across there, the tape goes up across from the inside. Mark's got a nice drive across. Watch Laukkonen on the outside in the yellow, almost gets there, but gets pushed right out into no man's land. There's no grip out there at the moment, no dirt out wide, and Laukkonen loses something in the region of 10 metres there on that first turn. Laukkonen makes a good start from gate 4, but look, on the inside, Mark Laram keeps it very, very tight. The shortest way round the first corner. Mark Laram in the red. What a fantastic start for him in this new Grand Prix season.
Well, it means, of course, that Mark Laram will have the inside gate next time out, and that's exactly what he wants, because it looks as if he was really suited for it. We've often said that Mark Laram is a man who likes to go for the outside, but certainly taking it from pillar to post, the red helmet colour with the inside gate, as we move on now to heat number 2. In this one, of course, Carl Stonehewer goes in the blue helmet colours, but as we look there, there's the heat 1 result for you. Mark Laram, no doubt about his quality. The man in yellow and black there is Lars Goodestad. 3 times a wild card in Grand Prix Series. His first time as a genuine contender here. Wild card here in this one in Norway. The full lineup, Carl Stone and Nicholas Klingberg goes on the inside in red we see there. Nicholas Klingberg 4th in the British Grand Prix last year at Cardiff. Carl Stonehewer rated 12 in the Grand Prix Series last year in blue from gate 2. Problems there for Matty Furrier, the Bellevue rider. His future perhaps threatened at Bellevue. 5 times the Slovenian champion goes from gate 3. Coming up to tapes now, already racing on the outside in yellow and black helmet colours, that is Lars Goodestad. Remember, the first 2 riders march on. The regulations in this Grand Prix is if you finish 3rd or 4th in successive races, you're out. You can go home. A few more modifications to the rules later because the top 8 riders have a chance to get out there so they don't compete cold in the main event. This, though, is heat number 2. Remember, the 8 riders exempt to that main event. Our starting marshal gets them straight. The electronics, referee Tony Steele away, up fly the tapes away, a great start on the inside for Nicholas Klingberg, but he's capped by Lars Gunnerstad from the outside, and Gunnerstad comes right across to pick it up ahead of the man in red, Nicholas Klingberg. Disappointment for Carl Stoney. Work to do in 3rd place for the Workington rider. He's trying to do that work. Tailed off at the back, Matthew Furrier, a disappointing season for him, but Stoney's got a bit of work to do, Peter.
Yes, he has. He's struggling a bit there. Carl back in 3rd place, but there out in front in the yellow, Lars Gunnerstad, the home man in front of his home crowd, out in front and looking ever so strong.
Yes, Lars Gunnerstad, of course, a couple of spells with Poole in the British League, a popular rider down there, a testimonial for him as well, but he's stretching his lead here, riding the track very much as he pleases. Lars Gunnerstad in the yellow and black helmet colours. A bit of bucking there for the man in red, Nicholas Klingberg. Could have given an opportunity to Carl Stonehill, but Stoney's tight on the line. He'll have to go again, the Workington rider. He'll be back at Workington tomorrow night, but here in Norway, he's got work to do in this one. But Nicholas Klingberg, he's battling too, but the heat winner there, no doubt about it, in yellow is Lars Gunnerstad, ahead of Nicholas Klingberg in red in 2nd place. And 3rd place for Carl Stoney means that he's got to go again. Matty Furrier, desperate disappointment, but certainly there, Lars Gunnerstad enjoying that one. And certainly a great effort by him there, Lars Gunnerstad, to win that. The wheelie celebrations for him, and the Finnish fans, certainly Norwegian fans, rather quite pleased with the efforts of Lars Gunnerstad here. And a heat win for him, just the start he wanted, Peter.
Yes, off the starting gate, just watch the very outside start position in the yellow, Lars Gunnerstad. Perfect start from gate 4. It's a lot further to come across, but he stops the rider on gate 1, which is Nicholas Klingberg in the red. He's now made a perfect first corner. Carl Stoney back in 3rd place there, looking for grip, but at the moment the track is quite hard and slick. They've really managed to get it down hard over the night here. All the track staff have worked so hard. Carl Stoney there though needed to make a better start than that, but out in front, a really great start from Lars Gunnerstad there in the centre of the picture, and a fabulous ride for him, and he will progress now.
Well, it means that Lars Gunnerstad will get the inside gate in Heat 8 next time out. He's done it from the outside. Can he do it from the inside? We'll have to see next time out. Certainly the home fans here pretty pleased with that one as we move on down to heat number 3. And certainly there's the official result. Lars Gunnerstad ahead of Nicholas Klingberg, winning that one. But now the man in white for this one is Greg Banasek. The Pole who races for Poole was injured a few weeks back. He was somewhat doubtful for this. We thought that Peter Carlson might have been coming in to ride, but those Poles, they seem to bounce back. Greg Hancock for the USA, the 97 world champion, goes to the inside. Lucas Drimmel goes in gate 2, the 21-year-old, struggling in the British League for Oxford so far this season. Greg Banasek, the 25-year-old Pole, goes from gate 3 to the outside in yellow and black. Is a man called Krzysztof Cegielski, who at the moment is riding on a British licence after a dispute in Poland, back racing again in the Polish League, and of course he was going to ride for Eastbourne this season. He wasn't allowed to ride for Poole because of the regulations concerning Grand Prix riders. But Krzysztof Cegielski goes to the outside gate here, Peter. He's a thrilling rider, isn't he, Krzysztof?
Yes, Cegielski was a sensation last year on the world scene. He's off gate 4. It's difficult to come from gate 4 because gate 1, Greg Hancock's gate, is working good.
We saw Greg Hancock there. Away goes our starting marshal once again. Greg Hancock gets the start he wants. A good start too for Banasek. Krzysztof Cegielski has work to do. Banasek drops back from first to last. Out front, Greg Hancock looking good ahead of Lucas Drimmel in 2nd place. 3rd place at the moment there, held by the rider in yellow and black, Krzysztof Cegielski. But what a start by Greg Hancock. Just what the American wanted. He's used this track in practice only, and now it looks as if he knows it like the back of his hand, because with every turn of the wheel, Greg Hancock is extending that lead.
Yes, Greg Hancock, he's actually living in Sweden at the moment, not racing in the UK. He's only done about 10 meetings. He thought he may have been a little bit rusty, but to be perfectly honest, the way he came from that trap 1 and the way he's leading this race now, he is looking sharp.
With a lap to go, Greg Hancock in total control here. In 2nd place, Lucas Drimmel. 3rd in the yellow and black helmet colours is Cegielski. He will have to go again, so will fellow Pole Greg Banasek at the back. But Greg Hancock, the American, marches on, and it's no trouble for him to move on to the next stage. Greg Hancock winning that ahead of Lucas Dribble and Krzysztof Cegielski. Just the ride Greg Hancock wanted to start. Oh, how we miss him perhaps this season in the British League. But Greg Hancock, the 97 world champion, shows that he's lost nothing of his edge. And certainly not racing in Britain, but showing his true worth here, except for catching the flag in the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix, Peter. From the start, he had it all his own way.
Yes, he did. I think if you're off gate 4, you've really got to chance your arm, and Cegielski on the outside, a disastrous start for him. He looks across and sees that Greg Hancock there, total command on the first turn, a bit of a bump there with Dremel and the rider in white, Greg Valashek. Valashek goes to the back, and a good ride there from Dremel. That's Dremel in the blue, on the inside in red. Greg Hancock straight into that lead on the first turn, and Cegielski there again on the outside, just having to go too wide and having to settle there for that third position. But really some pushing and shoving going on there from Lucas Dremel and Krzysztof Cegielski on the early lap, but Dremel riding very, very well in his first GP here, and Greg Hancock out in front for that win.
Well, it certainly means an interesting battle in Heat 7, because Mark Loran, we told you earlier, clinched the inside gate in that one in red, and now Greg Hancock will go with him in blue in gate 2 in Heat 7, and that'll be quite a battle. But we're now moving on to Heat number 4, as the last 16 riders, of course, who qualified, well, 14 of them, and the 2 wildcard entries, race the eliminating heats. Remember, the big guns don't come in until a little bit later on. There's the confirmation of the result. Greg Hancock ahead of Lucas Dribble and Krzysztof Cegielski. Greg Valashek tailed off at the back. Here's the lineup now for Heat number 4. On the inside in red, it's Nicky Pedersen. His second season at Kings Lynn at the moment, Nicky Pedersen. Next to him is Scott Nicholls, of whom we have high hopes. Of course, his previous Grand Prix only as a wild card. Scott Nicholls qualifying by the Grand Prix Challenge, and certainly doing well there. Gate 3 is Andres Johnson, familiar to Coventry fans, and Sebastian Ulebeck is going from the outside. We see him there riding well for Kings Lynn at the moment. Double figures in 9 of his 13 meetings for Kings Lynn so far, and certainly what Nigel Wagstaff there wanted when he recruited Sebastian Ulebeck. Nicky Pedersen is the man on the inside. We see Nicky Pedersen taking a little bit of a rest and adjusting things here, and just wonder how Scott Nicholls will go in these conditions, Peter.
Well, Scott Nicholls, he rides so well in the Elite League back in the UK, and all our hopes are really pinned on Scott. He's 23 years old, got a massive future ahead of him, and you know, we're looking forward to him having a great Grand Prix season.
Well, starting marshal once again gets ready. Away he marches. The track will be graded after this, and it'll be the losers' finals. But look at this coming across in white. Andres Johnson going through on the inside in yellow was Sebastian Ulebeck, and caught totally unawares there, Nicky Pedersen. And we've now got a battle because they're all over the track and certainly picking it up. Johnson, as if he's been on this track all his life. It could be his home league track the way he's riding here. Andres Johnson very, very quickly pulling away. In second place in blue there is Scott Nicholls. That's what we want to see. Qualifying for the next stage without any worries now. And back in third place is Nicky Pedersen, tailed off at the rear there. Problems indeed now, and I just wonder what happened there to Ulebeck, because he started so well, but this man too, Andres Johnson, is going very, very well indeed.
Yes, he is. Andres played a waiting game there, really. He wasn't leading on the first lap, but he kept tight round the inside line. At the moment, the inside line is the quickest way round. Scott Nicholls followed him through into second place, and at the moment, stay down low.
Well, certainly a fine start for Andres Johnson. Good enough for Scott Nicholls to move on to the next stage, and certainly they'll be pleased with that. Nicky Pedersen will have to go again. So too will Sebastian Ulebeck. Caught a bit hopping there, and certainly it was all over the place on the first lap. But Andres Johnson, when he settled down, well, the others were there to make up the numbers. And the Swedish fans delighted with the progress already of Andres Johnson. Of course, many of them to support Tony Rickardson, but Johnson did well, Peter.
Yes, off the starting gate. Watch Ulebeck off gate 4, the outside in the yellow, misses the start. Now this cutback on the first turn was unbelievable, because he dives straight down to the line. He's in last place, but look at this, when they reach the apex of the bend, he's leading the race. But there, Andreas Johnson, that swoop up the inside, down low. At the moment, Scott Nicholls was in last place there again. This is the starting gate. Nicky Pedersen lifts going into the corner, but already into that turn, Johnson's got a good line, and here we go.
Well, 4 heats gone. Scott Nichols will have to contend with Mark Larem and Greg Hancock next time out. That'll be a heat to commend itself and one to enjoy. The next heat will be heat number 5. Ulemak has 2 in a row. All of that coming up after the break.
Tomorrow's Sky One Sunday, an evening that spans 3 decades. Woohoo! From the 80s with all new Futurama. It's all about appearances. To the 90s with all new pop years.
Basically, we started off doing our music just for a laugh, really.
Through to the noughties with the best of Kirsty.
If it's silly, embarrassing, or just downright outrageous, then we'll have it in the show.
A fantastic lineup tomorrow from 7 o'clock, Sky One Sunday.
TDCI diesel. The loudest noise you'll hear will be your heartbeat.
Extreme 3 gives you the edge for the closest disposable shave from Wilkinson Sword. Triple blade performance, pivoting head for the most demanding shave and the most demanding people. Extreme 3, the closest disposable shave from Wilkinson Sword.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you've missed the first 4 heats of the Norwegian Speedway Grand Prix. That's the bad news. The good news is we've got 21 heats still to go, including the final. With me still, of course, Sam Amalenko and Kelvin Tatum. Gentlemen, we've just seen a great heat, actually, heat 4, just when the meeting was looking like it was going to be a little bit on the static side. Scott Nichols, bit of argy-bargy in this one. Talk me through it, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. We'll see Andreas Jonsson actually makes the start, and Ulemek on the outside misses it, but both Nicky Pedersen and Scotty Nichols sort of tangle as they got there, and as they come out of the corner, Jonsson makes the most of Ulemek drifting wide.
Scotty was last at this particular point, though, and then comes straight through on the out of that turn ascent.
Yeah, he just was focused. I mean, he tried to do everything he could, but when you got Andreas in the first corner coming across you, you're kind of worrying about that, but then you got Nicky on the inside. Nicky kind of just tried to get there, and Scott didn't know where to go, and now he knows he's got to make the best of a bad situation, and now he's doing it.
Yeah, the race
well.
has settled down now, Keith, but Nicky Pedersen actually did Scotty a big favour by charging underneath there and leaving a big hole for him to come through. And
well, one thing you can guarantee, he ain't going to do it for him again. What about this track?
The track's dry. You can see it's sort of a dusty shale coming off the back wheels. I do predict that it will break up a little bit because it's so new. At the moment, it's riding fairly slick, and I think we saw all the action there within the first lap.
I got a quicker view of the start line there. Of the ruts are leaving already. That's going to be a factor as well. The guys are going to run out of places where to put their back wheel and possibly lifting their exhaust on the dirt. Possibly.
Yeah, that could be a problem later on, where the rut gets too deep and that can catch the silencer and lift the back wheel off the ground as you accelerate off the start, and that can be a problem. So you've got to be quite careful about which rut you choose as the meeting continues.
Okay, long way to go just yet in this particular programme. Let's talk about the Brits at this moment in time. Mark Laran was out in Heat 1. That was a good start from him. He took the win, the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix win.
I think he was pleased to have had Gate 1 there. You know, the track absolutely fresh, rock hard at that point, fairly slick. I think it was pretty difficult to make the start from the outside, and I think he would have been quite confident going into that race with Gate 1, and he took advantage of it.
Don't really look like they suit these conditions aren't going to suit him as they run on, though, are they?
No, it's not. He's going to be the sort of guy where he's going to probably be scrapping in the first corner for that type of incident that we saw in Heat 4 there, and Mark's probably the best in the world at that, so don't count him out. But
well, especially he's riding in Eastbourne now. It's a tight, small track. Sure. And this is a tight corner, so he might feel comfortable.
And a word for Andy Smith. Andy Smith straight through as well, and that particular
he's going to get 3 rides.
Yes. Indeed. That's the way to go. Cole Stone here, a little bit more work to do. He's in a if he finds himself third again, he's out of the running. Scott Nichols goes through as well.
Well, drama now, isn't it, Keith? Because
there we go. Then let's take a look at Ulemek himself, Sebastian Ulemek. 26 years old, and looking very pretty there, I have to say.
Yeah, he's part of the Ricardson camp. He's part of the team Ricardson, and he's got a lot of good backup, and probably feeling a bit of pressure with that also, because it's a very high-profile setup.
Coming from the outside in his next race, he's got a lot of work to do there. I wouldn't like to say that his
But we have seen it done, though, Sam, haven't we?
Yeah, we
Because
have.
Gunnestad did a great start from the outside.
Yeah.
Kai Laukkonen out in this one. Good ride from him in the first heat.
Yeah, he's on gate 1, the all favorite at the moment so far, and it's his home country he's riding for right now.
He's going to be pumped, isn't he?
Yeah, Sigelski had a blue, though. I mean, I rate him. He missed the start. Me and Kelvin both noted he just kind of juggled at the start there. Furjan hasn't
pull you up on that. He's actually finished Laukkonen, but nonetheless, he's Scandinavian.
No, you pulled me up on that.
I'll let you get away with it,
in
mate.
that area.
Yeah, it's close.
Up in that area. As soon as you come to the States, we'll let you off with that. Well then,
it's going to be a tough race, no question. You know, this is an eliminator race. Only 2 go through, Keith, so, you know, there's going to be, could well be an exciting first corner.
Yeah, definitely.
As if we haven't seen one already with Heat 4, of course.
I think predominantly this type of racetrack, I think the first corners are going to be where all the action happens, because as we saw in Heat 4, after the first lap, it does settle down. And, you know, guys are going to be rushing for that bit of ground in the first turn.
Well, we jumped on him for Heat 1, of course. He didn't get his customary lead into this particular Grand Prix, so I think we'll give Tony Millard just a fraction more time to build up Heat number 5. Tony.
Thank you, Keith. Might give me the opportunity to get the Finns and the Norwegians correct, but as I heard from there, Kai Laukkonen, of course, is finishing. Lars Gunnestad, of course, the Norwegian in his home country. But we're coming out now for Heat number 5, and that man with the 21 on his back we're looking towards there is Sebastian Ulemek, who's going to the outside in yellow. On the inside in red, it's Kai Laukkonen. I have to tell you, the numbers appear to be reversed for the official programme for Laukkonen and Gunnestad, but never mind about that. Kai Laukkonen is going in red for the inside. Gate 2 in blue is Krzysztof Sigelski. Disappointing first time out. Gate 3 is Matti Furjan in the white helmet colours, the Bellevue rider. See him live on Sky this Monday night. Sebastian Ulemek goes from the outside. This is, of course, a race in which the last 2 are eliminated. The third man gets 2 Grand Prix points, the fourth man 1. And the first 2 march on when they'll be taking on men who've already succeeded. But this is a crucial one for 2 riders, because they'll be going home after this. And this man in yellow, Sebastian Ulemek, will be hoping he's not one of them. And fellow Pole Krzysztof Sigelski goes, of course, gate 2 in the blue helmet colours. The man between them in white is Matti Furjan. Saw a glimpse of Krzysztof Sigelski there. On the inside, that man there is Kai Laukkonen. Peter, an interesting heat.
It is. I would prefer here to be Kai Laukkonen on gate 1, because that inside is still working well. Sebastian Ulemek really from gate 4 on the outside has got a lot of work to do to get across there. Laukkonen off gate 1 rides, or used to ride, spent a lot of years at my old club Bellevue in Manchester.
Here we go then. Our referee Tony Steele from England hadn't had too much to do so far. Nothing controversial. Our starting marshal there having to get busy. Always a tough job, that job. Away they go. Waiting for the tapes to come up, away they go. Good flyer from Sigelski in the blue helmet colours, picks it up at the apex of the bend. Battling on the outside is Ulemek, but tracking him now is Laukkonen in second place. Coming through there, Matti Furjan in third place. A disappointment for the back 2, but all over the track is Kai Laukkonen. And now riding with some comfort, Krzysztof Sigelski will march on, and many felt he should have deserved a place, of course, in Grand Prix perhaps before. A sensational season in Britain last year, and now Krzysztof Sigelski is showing his colours here ahead of Kai Laukkonen in second place, and the other 2 are trailing. Ulemek and Furjan look to be going home.
Sigelski looking really quick out in front there, but looking back, and lost a bit of ground when he did that, because Laukkonen is right on his tail, and Laukkonen's riding that inside, trying to come right on that inside of him, but at the moment Sigelski's just got that bit of a lead.
Half a lap to go. It looks no doubt at all that these 2 are going to march on. Krzysztof Sigelski of Poland in blue. In red, Kai Laukkonen of Finland in second place. And it's time to go home for the third place man, Sebastian Ulemek in yellow and Matti Furjan in white, who will have a long time to make it to Bellevue for Monday night's meeting. And at the moment, his career there is even threatened with a 4 points return of less than 5 per meeting so far. But Krzysztof Sigelski showing the form he showed at Poole last season. They'll be disappointed they haven't got it this time, but Krzysztof Sigelski is back on track now here in the Viking Ship Stadium in Hamar.
Yes, off the starting gate there, it was the rider in blue there, Sigelski, that comes across the front wheel of Kai Laukkonen into the bend. On the outside, Ulamek's having a great ride out wide, but it's too far round because on the inside, Kai Laukkonen has got a great run round the line. But again, into the first corner, that push there from Laukkonen on Sigelski's leg as they enter the turn. Sigelski holds that bike really tightly. You can see that he's looking back there, and he's being chased by the Finn, Kai Laukkonen. But the two at the back there, not in the races. There, Laukkonen getting a nice run. He tries an outside, but he knows he's got to come back to the line because the inside is still working the best, and Sigelski's right on it.
Well, as we saw the last two there, Matti Fujen and Sebastian Ulemek. Matti Fujen goes home with 1 Grand Prix point. Sebastian Ulemek gets 2 as the riders finishing 3rd and 4th in heat number 5. The first of the eliminating heats of the evening. Familiar Grand Prix format. We do have a change when we get up to heats 9 and 10, because there the top 8 riders have a chance to race for gate position so they don't come into the main event cold. There you see the confirmation. Both of those last two eliminated. Christoph Sigelski and Kai Laukkonen march on as we move on now to heat number 6. A chance to see Carl Stonehill on the inside in the red helmet colours there. Nicky Pedersen it is who goes to gate 2 in blue. Gate 3, Rune Holter, who came last in his first race. He goes from gate 3 in white, and Greg Valesek's on the outside in yellow and black. Remember, as in heat 5, the last two go home, the front two march on, the same sort of format. And remember, the 4th man gets 1 Grand Prix point. The 3rd place man gets 2 Grand Prix points. Let's hope that Carl Stonehill on the inside for Britain could do his bit. Ronnie Holter there, getting a following locally, of course, here. Ronnie Holter, very much a favourite this part of the world, the 28-year-old. Seeded through to the series this year, perhaps because of the Grand Prix here in Hamar. Away goes our starting marshal, and away they fly, line abreast as they go to the first bend. Quite a race is going to be on here, and down at the back goes Greg Valasek. We await the referee's decision whether he stops this one or not. Valasek is on the track. Quite clearly it has to be stopped. He has the option to exclude or to order a start with all 4 riders. We'll have to wait and see what happens here, but it really was tight going into that bend, Peter.
Yes, Greg Valasek on the outside, that domino effect, and the referee, Tony Steele, I'm sure he's aware of Greg Valasek being on the wrong end of that. I'm pretty sure that all 4 riders will go back into the rerun.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the air fence here, remember that. Let's see it again, Peter, from the start. Line abreast and crowded on that bend.
Yeah, Carl Stonehill makes a good one off one. The rider in blue there, Pedersen's right with him. He gets a knock there, runs into Rune Holter. Holter hits Valasek on the outside. Greg Valasek went in that fence quite heavily there, though, Tony. He actually went in feet first and seemed to pull up very, very sharply because we've got a real strong kickboard round the bottom of this air fence. You can see again, Carl Stonehill lifts a little bit off gate 1 in the red, pushes everybody. Valasek's already off the back here. And there, Valasek hits that kickboard and does stop very sharply. I just hope that he's going to be okay.
Well, it looks as if he should be all right, Peter, although he's suffering an injury coming into this one. Walking back to pits, he's walking with no problem. I know you have a feeling about the kickboard underneath this air fence. The structure of the air fence, though, generally safety first, isn't it?
Oh, I think so, Tony. I think that's proven. We've seen it so many times over the last 2 or 3 years that it's been used. That's Valasek there, and I'm sure he's a little bit sore as he's walking back to the pits, and he looks as though he'll be able to take his place in the rerun, though, Tony.
Well, we're still waiting for that referee's decision to see whether he's eliminated or whether he's going back with all 4 in. Tony Steele, the man who has to think that, he will have seen the same pictures as you've seen at home, and Tony Steele will make up his mind as to whether he goes with all 4 riders for the restart. We're awaiting the official announcement here, and Greg Valasek, the man in yellow from the outside. There's Ollie Olsen. You caught a glimpse of him, the race director, and it looks as if Valasek is going to go, but the 2-minute warning is on, and Valasek will be included for the rerun, is my understanding.
Yeah, well, he's getting his helmet on. Our contact with the referee here isn't that good, but I'm pretty sure that I heard that all 4 were going back in. Here on the start, we can see again it's Carl Stonehill off 1, Nicky Pedersen off 2, Holter off 3, that domino effect, and on the outside, Greg Valasek, down he goes. There just isn't room for 4 riders to go into that corner together, although I must say that that's usually the case on most speedway tracks, Tony.
Thomas Golob having a chat with his fellow countrymen about the conditions, and Golob, of course, not in action yet, but he will be in heat number 10 as his first appearance when he joins Jason Crump, Billy Hamel and Michael Carlson. But he'll be asking about the track, won't he?
Yeah, that's Valashek's mechanic there, Jack Phillip, talking to Valashek there and wondering if they need any work doing on his bike, but I think his bike wasn't too bad after that shunt. I think it was his legs that copped it more than anything.
Well, all four back in the restart of heat number 6. Our own Carl Stonehill from Workington goes in this. That is Greg Valasek on his way to tapes for a second attempt. The Polish rider, Greg Valasek, the 25-year-old, with Paul, raced in 4 Grand Prix last season. Races on a Jawa machine. Man in white there, that's Rune Holter. Rune Holter, the Norwegian favourite here, 3 times a Norwegian champion. Very popular in his own country. He used to race in Denmark as a schoolboy to get his background in Speedway. The others in this, Nicky Pedersen, of course, going from gate 2. There's the confirmed lineup. Stonehill on the inside, Nicky Pedersen, Rudy Holter, Greg Valasek on the outside. The last 2 riders can go home. The front 2 march on. The rerun, the restart of heat number 6. Here at the Viking Ship Stadium in Hamar. Around 9,000 fans watching this. Remember, its main use has always been since 1994 as a 500-metre speed skating track. But they've done miracles to make it into a circuit exactly the same circumference as Cardiff, 275 metres. Interesting mix with the track with the Telford powder. Our starting marshal moves away. Away they fly. Once again, line abreast. Valasek's going to be tight for space here, but makes it. Gets right round the outside. Oh, a bit of rodeo riding there, but look at Stonehill going through. A brilliant ride for Carl Stonehill, who picks it up. Oh, here we go again. Somersaults indeed for Rune Holter. Carl Stonehill will be desperately disappointed with that. And down goes Holter. Valasek in trouble too. Peter, carnage indeed.
Absolute desperation moves there with Rune Holter and Nicky Pedersen. The pair of them went very hard together into that corner. Carl Stonehill was just ahead of them, managed to keep out of trouble, but you know, Nicky Pedersen never takes any prisoners and ruffles a lot of feathers. But there, Rune Holter, the other Norwegian, is up on his feet and heading back to the pits to sort out his bike. But I think Nicky Pedersen's, well, it looks as though he's had a bang on the head, that's for sure. But knowing Nicky, I'm pretty sure he'll be up there and back in the, well, as one of them's got to go out, and it's going to be either Holter or Nicky Pedersen, I would say.
Well, you would have heard the cheers there from the fans in Norway as Rune Holter got on his feet. But can we see it again, Peter? He tangled up with Valasek, actually.
Yeah, actually, Rune Holter was at fault. He actually ran into the side of Valasek, and it was Holter. That's why he went off into the pits angry, because I think he knows he's going out. Holter goes down. Nicky Pedersen did very well to miss the actual body, but hit the bike, and he went down. But Rune Holter, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be excluded.
Well, the regulations, of course, on the first bend, the referee can put all 4 back in for first bend bunching, as we saw with Greg Valasek's clash here. But here, Tony Steele has to exclude somebody, and it looks as if it's going to be the unfortunate Norwegian, Rune Holter. I don't see he has any option, because he was the man to blame there. Nicky Pedersen limping back. He's obviously in pain, but he should be back in, Peter.
Yes, Nicky was definitely the innocent party there. There were bikes and carnage going on all in front of him, and he had nowhere to go. He just clipped the bike there of Holter as he went by, and he did very, very well to be able to walk away from that one.
Well, we understand that the referee has excluded Rune Holter. There is some debate as to whether Nicky Pedersen is out as well, but I don't think he should be. There's very little he could do about that, Peter.
Yeah, I think his bike's probably pretty well damaged. Holter, he must have known straight away, the way he marched back into the pits, that he was out and he wasn't coming back out. But really, there's a lot of work to be done now from Nicky Pedersen's crew here to get that bike sorted out. He'll probably have to change bikes and ride his second bike.
Well, Nicky Pedersen in the pits, of course, which here are right within the stadium, is rushing maybe a second bike, but Greg Valasek will be delighted, because he was involved in that little clash as well. He's had a bit of a bumpy time, but certainly my understanding here is that Rune Holter is definitely out, excluded, which means he gets officially awarded 4th place for heat 6, and that gives him just 1 Grand Prix point to carry forward, and he can go home. He doesn't have so far to go as most, but that is Rune Holter, who's been excluded by our referee. Tony Steele, and I don't think he's too pleased about that, Peter.
No, it's also very disappointing here for the home crowd because, you know, they were all expecting great things from Halter on the international stage. He's really a top man. He rides in a lot of leagues all over Europe. He's an excellent rider, and I'm sure he wanted to do well in front of his home crowd, but now he's going to have to leave it to Lars Gunnestad, who will be the only Norwegian left in the competition, Tony.
Well, I don't know how Halter feels about that, but I think here we can see it again, Peter, and I think it was definitely a fault.
Yeah, the tangle here comes, the rider in white there. Halter runs into the side of Valashek. Valashek in the yellow held his ground. Nicky Pedersen on the outside. The injured party actually was kicked in the face by both of Halter's boots by the looks of things as he went by, and that's really what brought him off the bike. Just watch the rider at the back now as he goes into that carnage there. Kick, oh, a massive kick in the face there, and that boot has a steel shoe on it, so no wonder Nicky Pedersen's holding his head, Tony.
Well, Nicky himself was involved in one or two altercations last year, and certainly in that World Cup, but really Halter could get a prize as the Norwegian kickboxing champion after that one. Norway against Finland and kicked out against Denmark at kickboxing, never mind. Heat number 6, the restart. Without really Halter in white, there'll be a gap there, plenty of room for Greg Valasek, this time away from the tapes. As some would say now, the restart of the restart. Third time lucky for Heat 6. Carl Stonehewer in red will be on the inside. That man in blue, the victim of that little altercation, is Nicky Pedersen. And then on the outside, Greg Valasek. But really Halter excluded. There's the lineup, looking front on. Captures on the screen. Show you exactly what is happening, and we have a go at heat number 6 for the third time now in front of 9,000 odd fans here in this Viking Ship Stadium at Hamar. First ever Norwegian Grand Prix. Delicate mix, shale, clay and talcum powder constitutes the racing surface. Our starting marshal might move the 3 riders up to tapes. Tony Steele, our referee, I think I spoke too earlier. He had very little to do. He had a big decision to make there.
He had a big decision, Tony, definitely. Carl Stonehewer, though, has got to do it again. He was leading that one when that was stopped.
So, the second restart of heat number 6. They're at the tapes now. Remember, the last man of the 3 will be eliminated. The front 2 go on. Carl Stonehewer in front and looking good again, but chasing him on the inside is Valasek. Stonehewer picks up on the outside in blue. That's Nicky Pedersen, but Carl Stonehewer is doing just what we want to see from the Brit. Taking him, though, on the inside now is Valasek. A race is on. Stonehewer's going wide. Stonehewer relegated to last place. This isn't what we wanted to see, but he comes back again inside Nicky Pedersen. Out front, Valasek is on his own, but there's a real battle now for this last qualified place. Remember, the last man goes home. Half the race is gone. Into second place goes Stonehewer. Now, he's got to keep it going.
Yeah, Stoney's got to stay on that inside. Don't try the outside run, Carl. Just stay down low. Keep Nicky Pedersen there behind you. A rut was developing there, but Stoney's just holding that on the inside and looks as though he's going to get at least second.
It did just what he said there. He held the inside, Peter. It made the mistake for Nicky Pedersen. Pedersen will now go out, and Valasek wins it in yellow ahead of Carl Stonehewer in red. Disappointment for Nicky Pedersen there, and Nicky Pedersen will have to go home. And Greg Valasek got up from his crash on the first bend, first time out, to take the heat and move on to the next stage. But Carl Stonehewer is the man in second place, actually, not as per that. It was, in fact, won by Greg Valasek. He's the man in yellow and black. And Carl Stonehewer took second place. A brilliant ride in the end there, holding off Nicky Pedersen. And it means that he marches on to the next stage.
Yes, off the starting gate, Carl Stonehewer in the red makes a great start to the first corner. He tangles there with Nicky Pedersen in the blue, but Stoney holds it very tight. But now he leaves a little bit of a gap on the inside, and look, the rider in yellow, Valasek, sees that gap and he seizes the opportunity to come down the inside. But Carl here, he stays in the centre of the track. Again, off the start, this is where we get the big knock there. Nicky Pedersen gets pushed very, very wide on the first turn, out into no man's land. But Carl Stonehewer's got one either side of him here as they come down the back straight. He has the speed into the pit fence just to stay ahead. And there, Nicky Pedersen, he's got some damage to his hand and he's not looking too happy, Tony.
Well, Nicky Pedersen far from happy. It means just 2 Grand Prix points for him. He's out for the night. You've seen the last of him. Greg Valasek, the winner ahead of Carl Stonehewer. Nicky Pedersen, 2 Grand Prix points. The man on 1 Grand Prix point we already saw excluded was René Holter. So 4 men have gone out now. Matty Fay and René Holter with a point apiece. Sebastian Ulebeck and Nicky Pedersen with 2 points each, as we now move on to the next stage, which is heat number 7. And here Mark Ram in action once again on the inside. He has Greg Hancock next to him in blue. Nicholas Klingberg goes in white from gate 3 on the outside. It's Scott Nichols, Brits on the inside and outside. Be great to see Mark and Scott come in the first 2 here, Peter, but they've got a battle on with Greg Hancock's 4th first time out.
Yes, they have. It gets harder and harder as we go through the night here. There on the inside, Mark Laram. Again, I would prefer to be on that inside starting position because it's still the best way round, as we saw in the previous heat with Carl Stoneur. Mark Laram's got it all to do, and Greg Hancock and Scott Nichols, who's going to win this one?
Well, remember, they do get another opportunity here. The first 2 will march on. The first man goes to heat 13, the second to heat 15. But the third man races in heat 11, the fourth in heat 12. That's their second go after we've seen the big guns race for gate positions. We'll explain that to you when it happens in heats 9 and 10. This is heat number 7. The first 2 will be quite happy. The second, or the last 2, will be on tenterhooks for a while. Our starting marshal moves away once again. Up go the tapes. Mark Ram struggles to keep it down. Beaten to the drop there by Greg Hancock. Laram though moves smoothly into second place. Nichols is at the back. Coming through in third is Nicholas Klingberg. But out front, Greg Hancock, wheel perfect once again. Mark Ram in second place. World champions, the 97 world champion in front. The 2000 world champion in second place. Scott Nichols has moved through into third. He has work to do. At the back it's Nicholas Klingberg. Disappointing for him, but what a start by Greg Hancock.
Yes, Greg Hancock's got a lot to prove. He's looking so good. He had a lot of problems last year in the UK, but not riding in England this year. Been frozen out by regulations. A massive crash there from Scott Nichols. Scott Nichols has gone down against the fence, kept hold of the bike, but he's out of this one, no doubt.
Well, that'll mean Scott Nichols gets 4th place. He'll have another go, but safely through. Time to look back for Greg Hancock out front. In second place, Mark Laram in red. A comfortable ride for Nicholas Klingberg, who will have to go again in white. Scott Nichols is okay, but the front 2 march on. 3rd place goes to Nicholas Klingberg, and sadly for Scott Nichols, well, he'll have to race again in heat number 12 to see if he can stay in his first Grand Prix. But 2 world champions shake hands. The 97 world champion, Greg Hancock. The 2000 world champion is Mark Laram. That is Greg Hancock in blue. You see Laram in the background. The flag of victory goes to Greg Hancock, the winner of heat number 7, who marches on to the main event, where he'll be racing in heat 13, Greg Hancock. 2 heats, 2 races, 2 wins for Greg Hancock, the American flyer. Not racing, of course, in the British League, as Peter explained. From the start, Peter.
Yes, off the starting gate again, the rider in red, Mark Laram, doesn't make such a good one, to be honest. Across the front there, the rider in blue, Greg Hancock. He's pulling away all the time as Greg goes round that first corner. Greg Hancock just catches a little rut there, but just uses that to his advantage. Again, this is the turn. We can see that the rider in yellow there, Scott Nichols, hits that same rut. Too much grip. He did so well to hang on to that bike, to be honest, but unfortunately he's gone down. Again, we can see this. The back wheel just catches a rut there. Down he goes. There are a few ruts developing just coming out of that corner, and he hit that one. Again, wow, he did so well just to hang on to those handlebars and slid into the bottom of that air fence. No damage though. He was up, back on the wheels and chasing after them, but that was too late.
Well, as they say, he can come again, but this man, Greg Hancock, great result for him as we now move on to heat number 8. There's the official result. Greg Hancock ahead of Mark Laram. They move on to heats 13 and 15 respectively. Nicholas Klingberg and Scott Nichols racing effectively the losers eliminator. This now is heat number 8 though. Lars Gunnestad will be on the inside here. Andreas Johnson. Andy Smith, a Brit, goes in gate 3 in white. You can see him there on the outside. That'll be Lucas Drimmel. Here's our confirmation of the lineup. Lars Gunnestad on the inside. Gate 2, Andreas Johnson. Gate 3 is Andy Smith. Johnson, of course, of Sweden and Coventry. And man in white, Andy Smith. No British League club this current season. On the outside, Lucas Drimmel, having a disappointing year so far for Oxford. And man in blue, Andreas Johnson. Pretty good in winning heat number 4. See if he can do it again. Away they go. Johnson in blue. A superb start by him to the apex of the men first, around the outside. Picking up grip is Lucas Dribble, but holding him at bay. For a while, his last good as that is now relegated to third place. Oh, a problem there for Johnson, who's all over the place, and that really is disappointing. I think he hit a rut of some sort here, Peter. He'll have a job to recover from that because the referee's letting it go on, and Andreas Johnson will have fourth place and have to go again. It leaves the opening for Lucas Dribble. Referee in the end stopping it, but he'd have no option surely than to exclude Andreas Johnson, who virtually did a U-turn in the middle of the track. And I just wonder what he hit. When we see it again, Peter, I'm sure we get some idea, but he must have hit a rut or something there.
Yes, Tony, we've got a couple of ruts actually appearing now coming into the pits bend, and that was really unfortunate for Andreas Johnson because he's going so well here into the first turn. Johnson sees the challenge off from Lars Gunnestad, who's in red. Andreas Johnson in blue looks as though he was steaming off now to win this race. Coming into the pits bend here, a nice line, gets the bike sideways there going in, hits that rut, the bike straightens up. Unfortunately, there's somebody, Lucas Dribble was on the outside of him. Johnson had to spin that bike round on a sixpence and went down.
How nobody collided with him, Peter, is beyond belief here, because they all managed to avoid him somehow. He had three running into him.
Yeah, he did very well, Tony, to avoid Lucas Dribble. If we watch this, Dribble's coming round the outside in the yellow. When they get to the corner here, you can see Dribble's on the outside. At this point, Johnson's bike lifts up, almost into the path there of Dribble on the outside, and he holds that bike but spins round and falls down quite heavily, to be honest, because he rolled quite a bit towards the pits here, and very lucky he didn't take more than one with him.
Well, a bonus for Andy Smith. That'll mean that he's only got to beat one man to stay in the Grand Prix and have another chance with his three rides. Confirmation there that Andreas Johnson is excluded. Absolutely nothing he can do about it, Peter. Distinctly unlucky. Sometimes it's their own fault when they're excluded, but not for that man.
Yeah, fortunately, Andreas Johnson will stay in because that wasn't an elimination heat, so he will carry on. But, you know, he'll only get one more chance. Here's the Dribble team there, Alice Dribble Senior, Alice Dribble Junior, looking after the other son, Lucas, and he's been going great this year for Oxford.
Well, I can confirm that Andreas Johnson, eliminated for that, counts as fourth place in Heat 8. That'll mean he'll go in Heat 11 against Nicholas Klingberg, Christoph Sigelski, and our own Carl Stonehewer to stay in the event. He'll have to finish in the first two there to stay in it. But now, the restart of Heat number 8. 3 men involved, with the exclusion of Andreas Johnson. That man in red is Lars Gunnestad. He'll be racing for the inside gate in red. There'll be a gap in blue where Andreas Johnson was. The man in white, Andy Smith from Britain. On the outside, Lucas Dribble. In Czech, he races for Oxford. The restart of Heat number 8. The girls with the colourful outfits move away. Starting marshal in charge. The tapes are down. Finger on the button of Tony Steele, the British referee, and a marvellous box of electronics. He has to operate things here. Every aspect of track control with him in the box of electronics. We do something like Gwyn Taylor in Perth in Australia. Starting marshal moves away. Takes delayed somewhat. A good start indeed on the inside for Lars Gunnestad, but coming across again is Lucas Dribble, as he did first time out. More space this time with the absence of Johnson, and Dribble picks it up, relying his current form with Oxford, and Lucas Dribble now is ahead of Lars Gunnestad, and Andy Smith, he looks set for third, and what is effectively last place in this one. He will have to go again, but he's not done yet. He is now. He's gone wide and slip up line by Andy Smith. In red, Lars Gunnestad looks safe.
Andy caught that hole there. We saw Andy get in a bit of trouble. The rider in right, out in front, Lucas Dribble can afford to ride just a little bit wider now because he's got such a lead, and possibly be able to avoid those few ruts that are appearing.
Well, we did hear the lads in the studio suggesting that the track might cut up. It certainly is now, and it's affected the racing, but it's not affecting this man because Lucas Dribble is way out in front. There's still a chance here for Andy Smith, but only a little bit of one, because this man here, Dribble, is going to win it by a street. Second place now is going to Lars Gunnestad in red by about 5 metres from Andy Smith in white. And Andy Smith will sort of have to go again, Andy Smith. He gets effectively third place. That'll take him into Heat 12. And the winner goes through to Heat 14, Lucas Dribble. And it means a place for the second place man, Lars Gunnestad, in Heat 16. But Lucas Dribble will be delighted with that performance after what went before, narrowly avoiding, of course, the problems with Johnson.
Well, off the start, the rider in yellow, Dribble, just made a blinding start from gate 4. There his front wheel goes across that inside line, but from here on in, really, he never put a wheel wrong, didn't catch those holes at all, and the riders behind just fighting in his wake, really. Gonna start there off gate 1 in the red, looked good, but had no answer to Lucas Drimmel.
Well, Andy Smith will have another go. He'll be up against Scott Nicholls in Heat 12. There's plenty more to come. The big boys are out soon. They ride in Heats number 9 and 10. All of that coming up in the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix. The rest follows after the break.
Ready for more? Once again, next season, Sky Sports brings you 66 live games from the FA Barclaycard Premiership. Brilliant. And there's more. Another 40 live games on Premiership Plus.
Incredible.
Buy your season ticket now for only £40. That's just £1 a game.
That'll do.
This special offer closes midnight Thursday, so buy next season's ticket now. See channel 433 or call 08705 160 160.
Away they go.
British Speedway Grand Prix is back.
The track's fantastic.
At the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
Really is quite an amazing atmosphere. It's a shame I'm riding actually. I won't mind being out there watching it.
On Saturday, the 8th of June.
Wow, are we going to race Speedway in here?
Book your hot seat for this year's British Speedway Grand Prix. Call the Ticketmaster hotline 0870 4444 225.
This is the Norwegian Grand Prix and it's just exploded into action. This was Rune Holter in Heat 6. In Route 7, it was Scott Nicholls that just couldn't quite save a massive wheelie. And then in Heat 8, Andreas Johnson not to be outdone. A quick 360, a look round to see who's coming, and then bailing out stage left. Superb stuff. We thought this meeting might be a little bit slow in starting, but it only took 4 heats to go for it. Yeah. 5 was okay, and then 6. Well, what are we getting now?
It's on fire now, Keith. Yeah. I think it's slightly sad that we're talking about action that isn't sort of class racing, but nonetheless, it's spectacular stuff. And those incidents we've just seen in those 3 heats are very spectacular.
But we have seen some quite classy racing as well, actually.
Yeah.
I think if we look at 1 or 2 of the heats that we've had guys that we didn't expect that were going to be out there doing the business have done the business. Sam.
Absolutely. Sure. I mean, it's a technical kind of track. I mean, if you don't back the throttle off and cover yourself and get on that inside line, you'd open big holes, and that's why we're having good racing, isn't it? Everybody's kind of swapping and sorting themselves out, and all the big guns have been watching this thing, so I'm sure they're keeping their
Well, you two
eye.
looked at each other just as we were starting to get a bit lively out there and said, this is going to be an exciting meeting.
Definitely. Well, it is, and I think that it's a level playing ground, this is very much, because the way the track rides, you know, anybody can pop up and win a race. You know, Lucas Drimmel, all credit to the guy, but he has not been in particularly good form this season, and he just won that last race in grand style. And I think that if I was a Tony Ricardson or a Jason Crump sort of peering over the fence watching that, I might be a little bit unnerved by all that, to be honest.
Well, we've certainly got an interesting heat up next. Heat 9, Tony Ricardson is out with the 3 Aussies. Yeah. Which sort of tactic? What sort of tactic will he go for in this? I mean, he's not obviously going to get knocked out here, but it is a tough track.
I think he'll be concentrated on making a decent start from the inside and holding that inside line, because if you drift off that inside line, you open all the doors for everybody else that makes a bad start cutting back. So if he's watched what we've seen, he would definitely try and just make a good enough start to hug that inside line, and then he's in control of the race.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think Tony would be just keep it simple. Just I've got an opportunity to get out on the track, but you know, psychologically he'll want to put a win in the locker. You know, beat the guys, the 3 Australian guys.
What about our former world champ, Mark Laram? I mean, let's take a look at him in Heat 7.
Okay.
Tell us what you think about his form at the moment, this far into the meeting.
Let's watch that from the inside, though. Watch how tight he holds that inside line.
Yeah, that was class there and experience, because he didn't roar in too hard like Nicky Pedersen did, and sort of like to the detriment of himself. He knew he hadn't made the start in front of Greg Hancock, but he was smart around the first corner, kept a tight line like Sam said, and as we see here, that the race is settling down, and Mark looks pretty comfortable. I think that he's more relaxed on the bike. He looks more his old self. He's being able to. I've seen him ride a couple of times at Eastbourne, and he looks great. So
I'm glad you mentioned he looked his old self, because so does Greg Hancock.
Yes.
Change of motors, and he is right hot. Here's that Scott Nichols.
Yeah, but see, he's reeled in. You know, Scotty Nichols obviously did very well actually to stay with his bike, although he actually wasn't upright. But
that's going to be a major factor for these guys. They're going to have to be dealing with that as well. Looking right there, Greg got a little bit of driving through that corner. Those ruts are appealing. They're little grooves when they lay a fresh track like this.
Don't you think that Mark will enjoy that? He'll work for them, won't he? He'll go for them.
Well, you have to. I mean, that's your acceleration point. You hit that.
Yeah, but some guys don't like them.
Yeah, you're right.
Some guys just don't like them.
Who are those guys that we're going to see out of the seeded guys? The next two heats, we're going to have the seeded guys out there. We're looking at Ricardson there with the number 1 on his back, of course. Looks well pumped up for it. Who out of the 8 guys that we're going to see over the next 2 heats are going to be the ones that like and don't like this track? Very quickly.
I don't think Tony Ricardson will have any problems at all. He'll be very, very ruthless, very, you know, he'll just give it everything he's got. I think somebody like Todd Wiltshire in this race won't be looking forward to riding through the race.
Absolutely, I agree with that. On the next heat, I think all 4 of those guys are capable of doing something here, but the spectacular thing is how good they're going to be at using it.
Interesting that the racing hero for this man, the reigning world champion, is of course Michael Schumacher. He goes about it in just as business-like a manner. Let's cross them back to the track. Peter Collins and Tony.
Well, he'll hope to be better than Michael Schumacher, because I can tell you he's 3rd on the grid for the Grand Prix this weekend in Austria. Never mind that. This is Speedway Grand Prix, and this is a couple of heats now coming up which we didn't have before. This sees the top 8 riders racing for gate positions first time out. They're all safely through. They're all safely through to the next stage, but it means they don't go into the main event cold. Here's the lineup. Tony Ricardson on the inside in red. Grant Sullivan, the Aussie, born in Melbourne but living in Adelaide, of course. He races in Gate 2. Gate 3 is Lee Adams from Mildura in Victoria. And Todd Wiltshire, the Sydney-sider, in yellow on the outside. That's the lineup. This is heat number 9. And there is the 4-time world champion, Tony Ricardson. What a rider he is. Peter, is he the best ever, or is he as good as Hans Nielsen?
Well, I think Tony's just beginning to realise that Ivan Major's record world titles, 6 world titles, is within his sights, and Ovi Fundin won 5, his fellow Swede, and Tony's only 1 behind him. So, you know, Tony's got the chance, I think, to become immortal in Speedway, and I think he's beginning to realise that, and I think the car racing, which he was thinking about 2 or 3 years ago, is possibly getting a little bit distant.
31 years old, a fair few years perhaps yet to race Speedway. We'll have to see. Big guns indeed here. 4 men, each of whom finished in the top 8 of the Grand Prix last year. Tony Ricardson finished 1st, Todd Wiltshire 3rd, Grant Sullivan 4th, Lee Adams 5th in the series last year. Let's see what they can do this year. The first Grand Prix of 2002, this Norwegian Grand Prix. This heat number 9. Remember, the 1st and 2nd men get an inside gate next time out. Oh, a chance there. He touched the tapes. The referees let that go. And Todd Wiltshire had problems. He tried to jump the tapes, Todd Wiltshire. The referee has stopped that. I'm sure it's an unsatisfactory start. And I just wonder whether Todd Wiltshire will get excluded, Peter.
Yeah, Todd Wiltshire's wise enough to know that Gate 4 has got a lot of difficulties come with it. And he's actually possibly there. Made a jump at the start, he started to roll, the tapes haven't gone, he's hesitated, then not gone, the tapes have gone, and he's been left. So Tony Steele, the referee here, has got a decision to make, because he could exclude Todd for this.
Well, certainly for my money, Todd Wiltshire did touch the tapes. I know we're going to get the chance to see that again. It looks as if he is excluded. Yes, Todd Wiltshire back into the pits. We'll be racing with just 3 riders. It doesn't mean a great deal, but let's see it here, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, he barely touched that tape, Tony. It's difficult to see just here from the box, but we could see that, you know, not only did he touch it, but he was left when the tape did go up. So really, Todd Wiltshire made a complete hash of that start, and he knows that he's got to go back to the pits, because he won't start in that heat. You know, that totally backfired on him.
Well, it doesn't make a great deal of difference, because 4th place in that heat, which is what he'll effectively have, means that he goes from gate 2 in heat 16, according to my calculations. So it's only a question of going from an inside or a 2nd gate. It won't mean a great deal to him there, I'm sure. But now they go with just 3. before the restart. What it does deprive Todd Wiltshire of is an outing on the track before the main event. Quite important.
Yeah, 4 laps of very important practice against, you know, the top opposition. I mean, it doesn't come much harder than this. There, the rider in white, Lee Adams. He is such a good rider, and 5th in the world last year, along with Ryan Sullivan, who was 4th last year. What a difficult heat this was going to be, but Todd will now have to sit it out, and Tony Rickardson has got a chance from that gate 1 to get a good bit of knowledge of the circuit.
The only amazing thing about Lee Adams is he's only claimed a top 4 Grand Prix place in 36 events, just 4 times. That's amazing. But in this one, I wonder what Lee Adams can do. Tony Rickardson, Ryan Sullivan, Lee Adams from the inside. Red, blue, white. Lee Adams so often right up towards the top of the British League averages, vying for that position currently with Jason Crump. But their blue helmet colours is Ryan Sullivan, 4th in the series last year. Remember, the man excluded Todd Wiltshire for touching the tapes. Referee Tony Steele deciding he did. Peter says only a slight touch, but that's enough. There's 3 riders in the restart of heat 9. Up by the tapes, away they go, line abreast. Tony Rickardson picks it up though first, hunts the inside, just what VC said he should do. The man in white is Lee Adams in 2nd place, tracking him. At the back, playing for safety, perhaps Ryan Sullivan going slightly wider. Tony Rickardson coming wide into that bend, pulling back onto the inside now as he goes into the bend there. Rickardson already adapting to the track, Peter.
Yeah, I think these lads will have seen those earlier heats, saw those incidents, had a lot of apprehension about those ruts that are developing. They want to go out there and try them for themselves, and they know that the race isn't the be-all and end-all, but it is important what they do in this race for their gate positions. And again, Tony Rickardson out in front.
Many times we've heard the problems of the main event riders coming in cold. They're not going to do it here in Norway. 70 degrees outside, in the stadium comfortable, but here just racing to know the track for 4 laps. Perhaps the marginal difference between the gates they start at. Oh, wide at the back is Lee Adams. Nobody will worry about that. It's won indeed by Tony Rickardson. Lee Adams in 2nd place and Ryan Sullivan in 3rd place. It means that Tony Rickardson will next race in heat 13, where he'll wear the red helmet colours, and it means the 2nd place man in white, Lee Adams, will race in heat 15. He'll have the inside gate, and Ryan Sullivan, along with Todd Wiltshire, their first outing in the main event, will have gate 2. But Tony Rickardson will be happy. He doesn't like to be beaten. And so far in this Norwegian Grand Prix, anything but the current world champion. The Swedish fans are absolutely delighted with that, and the victory flag waved with gay abandon by Tony Rickardson.
Yeah, you can bet that Tony Rickardson knows the quickest way around this circuit. From the starting position, gate 1 works well for him as he leads Ryan Sullivan in the blue into the first corner, pushes Ryan a little bit wide. We've had a track grade here. There's some nice dirt being pulled down quite low. Tony's back wheel's right in that grip, and here where this rut's developing, he just gets that bit of a catapult motion to put him down the straight into the lead. Here again into the first corner, Tony looking every inch the world champion. That dirt round the inside, that is the grip. It's only about a foot wide, but he's right on it there. And really the others have got no chance against Tony. What a start for him, and that will give him gate 1 later in the meeting.
Well, Tony Rickardson quite happy with his first performance, I'm sure. Familiarisation with the track. The main piece of business in that one is secure an inside gate in his next outing, where he'll be holding, wearing the red helmet colours again in heat 13. As we move on to heat number 10, there's the official result from heat 9. Rickardson ahead of Adams and Sullivan. Todd Wiltshire excluded, automatically goes to the blue helmet colour position in heat 16. Heat number 10, that man in yellow at the tapes, Michael Carlson, fancied by many to win this. We know he's in splendid form in the British League at the moment, and Michael Carlson, certainly the last 2 Grand Prix last year, was the form man. Jason Crump coming back from injury, goes to the inside in red, a World Championship hope. Thomas Golov, so frustrating, early winner of the Grand Prix Series, been riding throughout the series since it started. He goes in blue, gate 2. Billy Hamill, of course, former world champion, he goes in gate 3. Billy Hamill, of course, of the Coventry Bees. But that man in red is Jason Crump, for many a future world champion. The youngest ever winner of a Grand Prix, won the British Grand Prix as a wild card, I think, in the first year.
Yeah, there's a lot of people actually got money riding on Jason Crump this year. Unfortunately, that injury came at a bad time for him. 3 broken ribs and a broken elbow 3 weeks ago. But he rode at Bellevue last week, but a 15-point maximum. Can he carry on that now?
All angles, Kelvin Tatum's physio, I think, has put him right back in action much more quickly. Away they go, a flyer for Jason Crump, pushes the others wide. The man tracking him in white is Billy Hamill. At the back in yellow is Michael Carlson. Into 3rd place goes Thomas Golov. But what a start by Jason Crump. He was first out for practice yesterday. He's first out of the tapes this time in his first race, and doesn't look as if he's suffering from any injuries at all. What superb form, speed, track positioning, everything you want, Peter.
Yeah, he even went to Sheffield last week before the Bellevue match and did 24 laps flat out without a break. So he really does mean business this year, and the way he's going in this one against such really strong opposition, he's looking great, apart from he's hit a bump there and lost his chain, Tony.
Oh, Peter, you spoke too soon. Just what Jason Crump didn't want. He may have had the practice, but it was all there, and the chain disappearing. Perhaps he hit that rut, the flexing of the flame. We've seen it so often on these new circuits race for Grand Prix, and it now means that Billy Hamill is going to take the checkered flag ahead of Michael Carlson in yellow in 2nd place, Thomas Golov 3rd in blue. Jason Crump is furious with that because everything was going so well. It doesn't make a great deal of difference. All it means is go in heat 13 in gate 2 in the blue helmet colours. As I said before, of course, this was just track familiarisation and gate selection for the big timers, and Jason Crump will hope that that's the only technical problem he has throughout the Grand Prix series this year. If it's to come at any time, Peter, I'm sure he'd rather it came then than in a race that really matters.
Yeah, also, I mean, look at that, he's angry. I mean, to be honest, that when he hit that rut and threw the chain off, it really pulled on his shoulder and his arm, and you know, it looks as though he's got no after effects physically, but mentally he's shattered with that one.
Well, he started well enough, but it all okay until that bend.
He did, Tony. This is the start. Jason is already leading there from Thomas Golov into the first corner. Billy Hamill in the blue there on the outside. Jason's got that real quick line, following basically in the tyre tracks of Tony Rickardson in that previous heat. I mean, there was no way, nobody going to catch Jason, but here, entering the fixed turn, we see he catches that rut when the bike was sideways. All those sparks are coming off that chain that's now been thrown off, and I'm sure that chain has been ripped to bits there as it's gone round those sprockets and jammed in the clutch. Possibly done quite a bit of clutch damage to that bike, and if that's his #1 bike, he won't be happy.
Well, I did say it didn't really matter if he'd back, but when I look at heat 13, he'd be in direct opposition to Tony Rickardson and Greg Hancock. What a race that's going to be, heat 13.
Yes, it just gets tougher and tougher, Tony.
There's the official result. Billy Hamill winning it ahead of Michael Carlson and Thomas Golov. And of course the tragedy there, it could be said, for Jason Crump. Desperately disappointing for him. We now move on to heat number 11. Chance for Andres Johnson to recover again now. Of course, he had a problem last time out. Here's the lineup. Nicholas Klingberg on the inside in red. Andres Johnson goes in blue gate 2. Christoph Sigelski gate 3 on the outside. It's Carl Stonehuer. And here, as you see the flashing on the screen, the last 2 will be eliminated. They could go home with respectively 4 and 3 Grand Prix points. But the front 2 march on. Carl Stonehuer's in yellow. The Workington fans watching will be cheering for him. He goes to the outside. He's going very wide, as you can see here. And remember, Andres Johnson, so unlucky first time out when his bike did a U-turn in his last race. A little bit of bumping and boring there, and Stoney will now nip back through the inside. Stonehill has read this absolutely perfectly. Stonehill went from last to first round that bend. Peter, just what you said he could do. Hang back, take the inside. Now the challenge is on. Klingberg is chasing him, but what a ride by Carl Stonehill. Back in 3rd place, Christoph Sigelski. Tailed off at the back indeed. Disappointment indeed for Andres Johnson, but what a ride by Stoney.
That was probably one of the best, or the best cutback manoeuvre on Speedway I've ever seen from Carl there. He entered the corner last, he cut back when the others were sorting themselves out, came out of that corner in 1st place. What a fantastic first turn.
Wait till we see the replay of that, Peter. I think he just waited back there. He had that in mind from the start when he drew that outside gate. And now, when he's not looking back, what a ride by Carl Stonehuer to take him through to the main event proper, leaving the others in his wake. Carl Stonehill will be delighted with this as he takes the checkered flag, and the Workington fans will be even more so. Nicholas Klingberg in 2nd place in red there. But Sigelski can go home, so too can Andreas Johnson. And that is a surprise, because we thought that Andreas Johnson and Krzysztof Sigelski, the young pretenders they may be, were going to have a major impact here. But Carl Stonehill is the man that's done it, the 29-year-old. He races for Workington. And Peter, from the start, let's see how he did it.
Yes, off the starting gate, Carl's off gate 4, the bike snakes. He didn't make it at all. He decided before the tapes even went, I think, that he was going to cut back if he missed the start. And look at that now. He's riding a completely different line to the others. They've all gone very wide, left a massive hole for Carl to come through. What a gift. And again, we can see it. The rider in red there makes a good start. Nicholas Klingberg. Blue there, Andreas Johnson is right with him. But look at Carl. He looks across at the pack, cuts back. He slowed the bike up, pulled it very, very hard, turned early. The others are way out, chasing that dirt, racing one another. But Carl is now right down on the inside line and into that first place. And from then on, just out in front. And he did all the work on that first turn and just cruised round for that win. And he will now progress again.
Well, certainly a tremendous ride by Carl Stonehill. Caught the others by surprise. A total eclipse for Krzysztof Sigelski in third place and Andreas Johnson in fourth place. They could now go home. Not too many points for them. There we see the official result. And Sigelski gets the 4 points as third in heat 11. And certainly the 3 points go indeed to Andreas Johnson. And he'll be desperately disappointed with that, because he was expecting a lot more, and I think so will we, for the Coventry rider is in such good form now. As we move on now to heat number 12, and here's a chance to see a couple of Brits in action, because Andy Smith and Scott Nicholls are both in this one. And we're waiting at the moment for Andy Smith to come up to tapes. Here we go for the inside in red. Here he is coming up to tapes now. Scott Nicholls in blue goes from gate 2. Greg Valasek, the pole, goes from the third place gate there. And on the outside it's Kai Laukkanen. Laukkanen, the Finn goes from the outside. A bit of confusion on the numbering here. And Laukkanen originally should have 23 and last minute said 24. They seem to muddle the numbers a little bit, but never mind about that. Away goes the starting marshal. Looking down at the tapes is Andy Smith, and oh, tragedy for Scott Nicholls. He'll go the same way here, and that takes him out of the Grand Prix. And Scott Nicholls really just simply touching the tapes in an eliminating heat. That is a cardinal sin, Peter.
Yes, Scott Nicholls really should know better than that, to be honest. He made a jump at those tapes. He will be excluded and his GP will be over. He will be gutted and absolutely so cheesed off with this, going back to the pits, but no show of temper there from Scotty. He's got a lot to learn, I suppose, but very, very sad for him.
Well, it was an eliminating heat. It really one in which you should perhaps be more careful. Perhaps he's going to learn the hard way. Let's see it again.
Yeah, we can see it. There he is in the blue. The tapes hadn't gone. The green light had come on. He was just far too anxious there, too keen. And, you know, it's great to get out first, but you really do have to wait until the tapes have gone.
At this rate, Andy Smith's going to win the Grand Prix. It's all going his way.
Well, Andy's also off gate 1 here, Tony, which, as we know, is a great advantage. And he's moved over now. Look at that, quite close to the gate 2 start position. Good thinking there from Andy.
I wonder what Kai Laukkanen will do for the outside. Will he go for it, hammer and tongs, or will he follow the Carl Stonehill pattern and cut back on the inside? Let's see. This is heat number 12. Remember, the last man goes home here in this one. A flyer indeed for the man in white. Valasek lifts slightly. Andy Smith left at the tapes, but Andy Smith will now cut back, and down goes Valasek. Down and out could go Valasek, unless somebody else gets the blame for this. And Valasek desperately disappointed. Out front, it's Kai Laukkanen in yellow, Andy Smith in red, and Andy Smith will have a rare opportunity here to go through to the main event.
He will. Kai Laukkanen's riding on the outside. I don't think Kai wants to get involved in those ruts around the inside. If Andy's brave enough, he'll go through there. That is the quicker line, but to be honest, second place will be good enough for Andy to progress into the main event. But Andy's copped a load of drive there, but just about stayed with it.
Well, Andy Smith, it's going his way. No club in Britain, perhaps, but here in Norway, he's hitting the high spots, perhaps, of his Grand Prix career, because Kai Laukkanen, well, there he is down that back straight. Kai Laukkanen's going to take the checkered flag and move on to heat 15. But Andy Smith is down. Now he's going to have to get up and push home Andy Smith here. And look, Valasek in the background, you can see, just coming round. And could Valasek make it? Let's see. Andy Smith stranded on the track. His Grand Prix hopes have gone. And Greg Valasek is still out on the track, and we haven't shown you that. but Andy Smith had it there for the taking, Peter, and desperately disappointing for him. So we've seen Scott Nichols eliminated on the tapes. Andy Smith simply had to keep going to earn that second place, and oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, bad news for Andy. The last lap there, lost it again. Now these ruts are causing all kinds of problems for those riders, some of them not enjoying that, and certainly giving us a lot to talk about, but no doubt about the winner there, Kai Laukkanen. Really chuffed to win this one, but Andy Smith absolutely furious back in the pits, and here again, that's the winner, Kai Laukkanen. Again, this is the start on the inside. Andy Smith slow off the start, but in the white, it's Greg Valashek that pulls across Andy. Out in front is Laukkanen, but Valashek gets it all wrong, runs wide, slides down, and now that is the gift that Andy received there from Valashek. Now Andy's back in the pits there, absolutely gutted.
Disappointment for Andy Smith, disappointment for Scott Nichols. British hopes alive with Carl Stonehewer and Mark Moran still. There's plenty of action still to come in this Norwegian Grand Prix after the break.
Extreme 3 gives you the edge for the closest disposable shave from Wilkinson Sword. Triple blade performance, pivoting head for the most demanding shave and the most demanding people. Extreme 3, the closest disposable shave from Wilkinson Sword.
Inside you are millions of places you've yet to see, the person you were and the person you will be. Inside you are all the ideas you've yet to have. Inside you lives a world so wide, it is beyond even your imagination. Inside you lives tomorrow's internet today. Larger, simpler, freer. Tiscali 10.0, the next generation internet service.
Grand Prix is back.
The track's fantastic.
At the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
Really is quite an amazing atmosphere. It's a shame I'm riding actually. I won't mind being out there watching it.
On Saturday, the 8th of June.
Wow, are we going to race Speedway in here?
Book your hot seat for this year's British Speedway Grand Prix. Call the Ticketmaster hotline 0870 4444 225.
You hear that? That's the sound of second place.
Lucas Sport will help, Michael.
It's a sports drink. It's not a three-piece suit. It's proven to help top athletes go 33% longer. Fact!
It's Michael Owen. Oh, what a finish! The striker supreme. All aboard the victory bus. Next stop, Japan.
The whole family had a very expensive trip to the dentist last week.
Oh, yeah?
It's all right. I got lots of cash back.
How's that possible, then?
Hey, just say. I also got some cash for my new contact lenses.
From who?
Hey, just say. I could even get cash to have physio on my dodgy knee.
Yeah, but where from?
Hey, just say. Ow, right, okay, now I need help.
HSA. Health-wise, it pays. Call today.
The Norwegian Grand Prix is pure drama. Jason Crump was a favourite, but he lost out there. That was heat 10. In heat 11, Carl Stonehewer was absolutely flying and came through to take the win. In heat 12, well, heartbreak for Scott Nicholls as he touched the tape and found himself excluded. Andy Smith had an absolutely safe second place to go through and threw it all away. And we're still stunned, even though we've seen it a second time. We were cheering him on, but Kel, what can we say?
I don't know what to say, Keith. He only had one corner to go and he was in the next round. And, you know, Andy's had such a tough time in the GPs. You know, this was an opportunity for him to sort of really probably have one of the best GPs he's ever had. And he must be totally gutted.
OK, well, we won't dwell on that then for poor old Andy. We'll move on, Sam, to Scott Nicholls.
Well, we viewed it, and we think that Andy might have just moved a little bit, and Scotty would be concentrating so hard on the tapes, and just as he might have moved, he flinched, and that was enough for to drag him in.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that's happened to a lot of guys, and it's happened to me, you know. Where
Scott must be very tense at this moment, though, for this Grand Prix.
Absolutely, his first GP, and you know, he's had a lot of build-up. You know, people have been talking about him being the #1 British guy in the GPs, and I think he may be feeling that a bit. And you know, he was in an eliminator race, you know, last chance sort of saloon. So, tough situation for him. But he's got to learn from that.
Good news, though, that Carl Stonehewer goes through, and of course so does Mark Laram. And I can tell you right now, we can hear from Mark Laram.
Around much better start than 2001. That was looking good.
Yeah, so far, you know, it's not easy out there. The track's going to cut up pretty bad, you know, which you expect for a one-off. But yeah, so far so good, but we're a long way from a good result yet.
Yeah, but looking for more first and seconds to get yourself through to the end of the meeting and maybe the top 8.
Well, that's what it's all about, you know. But like I say, it's a very hard meeting, and you know, I'm a long way from what I'd call a justified or a satisfied result.
So it's just time to get serious now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we've got to start all over again now and get through the next stage.
Anybody think he wasn't serious a little bit earlier on? Heat 15 we can see him. We've got 3 rides to wait for him at the moment. Let's take a look forward to Heat 13. Tony Riccarton, Todd Wiltshire and a flying Greg Hancock doing it for the US at the moment, and Greg Wolosek as well. Now, Greg Wolosek was a fraction lucky there, wasn't he?
I'll say, you know, how many times are you actually going to drop it in the first corner, remount the bike, and then actually go through to the next round? It's just an incredible scenario.
Courtesy of Andy Smith.
Yeah, you know, again, we've mentioned that. We won't mention it again, but Wolosek, you know, he probably thought he was down and out. He was literally down and out. He was off the bike, and he picked it up, and next minute he's qualified.
Should we take a look at who he joins at this particular point? Here it is, and these are the guys that are going home. Andy Smith, the last of the men to join them, scores 4 points. He could have done so much better. Krzysztof Sigelski as well, we were expecting better from him. He goes home. Scott Nicholls, I feel for him as well. Andreas Johnson, Nicky Pedersen, Sebastian Ulemek, Rune Holter and Matty Furjan. They are the men that are on their way home already. But now we're getting to the business end of the situation. We're into the main event. OK, I usually ask you about at this point. Sam, I'm going to come to you on this one.
There you go.
The track is just about holding in there. It's a bit lively for some of the boys if they're...
It is.
Who do you think this is going to suit, having now had a good look at what's going on?
I think Rickardson's up for it. Greg should be able to handle this without any problem.
Is it going to become a bit of a... we even saw Tony Riccarton when he had his first outing there. He got hooked up in a couple of ruts as well and was having to ride the thing cowboy style. I mean, is this going to be a little bit of a lottery even for him?
Absolutely. That was my next thing I was going to say is no matter how good you are, you can be caught out by the track. Look at Jason. He was comfortably in the lead. The bike tweaked a little bit. These things are made to flex. It threw a chain. That's going to be a factor in all these guys' minds right now, whether or not their bike will even handle it.
OK, well, one man who does seem to be, when his chainstay on, looks pretty good, is Jason Crump. Let's look back at Heat 10. This was a great heat from him. Talk us through.
Yeah, just look at the way his bike jumped forward. I know Sam's riding in the same Elite League side with him this year and was sort of explaining to me how he has this setup on his bike, that the first bike length off the tape, he doesn't seem to get any wheel spin at all. It seems to absolutely explode off the starting line. And there's no question that Jason and his team have found a setup that works fantastic. But so that's combined now with an extremely talented rider, and that's a very, very dangerous combination.
He's doing nothing wrong here. He's riding through the corner, gets a little bit of a lockup right there, just bumps, you know, whatever's going on with his bike. He's just trying to ride.
Funny enough, I had this very scenario last night while I was racing. I was in a safe position. I was out front and I got half around the corner and the back chain just jumped off, and I'm sure it's something to do with the design of these lay-down bikes. where we need to have some sort of improvement on chain alignment.
Well, certainly you saw the bump where Jason Crump found himself in trouble just as he entered into the turn. So
yeah, and it's obviously more vulnerable, the bikes are, when you get ruts in the track, because the bike does flex, like Sam said.
It does.
And when the chain goes so far out of line, it's just going to pull itself off the sprocket.
Well, Jason Crump, we saw him very unhappy when he got back to his pits. And of course, the wonderful thing about the Viking Ship Stadium is the fact that all the crowd, everyone in the stadium can see that, because the pits are right there, live for everyone to see.
Yeah, sure, and that's an education for them, because it's stuff they would never have seen before. I think it would, some of the people that with knowledge of the sport will probably appreciate it a touch more, because they'll see some of the drama that happens and unfolds in there. But this is a dangerous man now, because when he gets angry, he gets angry, and he can perform and do stuff on the motorbike that nobody else can. And
do you remember the Sweden Grand Prix when he went flying into the fence and he picked himself back up and adrenaline pumping and he just went out there and smoked?
Oh, well, that's the one that I think that I remember him for first and foremost. I mean, he's not only brave, he doesn't get psyched out by that particular situation.
No.
I mean, I think as well, looking at him at this meeting, he's a little bit more subdued, but he looks totally focused. I mean, when we saw him in the lineup, he's got no friends, has he?
Oh, no, he's there to win. You know, he doesn't really care about anybody else at all, and that's the way you got to be. This is a ruthless situation.
But he does respect him. He does respect knowing that anybody can beat him.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is go out there and he's got to rise over
He doesn't
everybody.
dismiss them. He doesn't dismiss his opponents, but he certainly is in a frame of mind where he believes that he can beat them. And he's come back off a nasty injury, Keith. He had 3 broken ribs and a fractured elbow, and he's come through a really intense rehabilitation program, and he's back.
Todd Wiltshire there looking over the fence. He'll be out next in Heat 13, just checking the fact.
Well, he'll want to do better in his first ride. He didn't leave the tapes, did he? And
that's exactly right.
He hasn't even been out there yet. He's got to deal with it.
He's looking at that track, probably a bit sort of unsure of exactly how to approach it. And we mentioned earlier, didn't we, that he doesn't actually enjoy this type of conditions, does he?
No, but he's a good starter. He can get out in front of him. But remember Cardiff, he was the one that flipped over like Scotty did. He just hit a rut comfortably in front or in a position and he went down.
Sure. So they've just done another track grade. So sometimes in these conditions, when they pull that loose dirt back over the track, it can actually be a bit tricky, because it actually disguises some of the ruts in the track.
It does.
And you can roar into the corner thinking that it's perfectly smooth, when in actual fact that the loose dirt's just literally just filled the dirt.
You've got to ride this track at the moment, totally concentrating on not making a mistake. Even though if you want to go fast, you want to lean back and let it go. You can't do that here.
Just keep hanging on to the bike.
What about these ruts? I mean, like, obviously, if we get a bit of a hole in a bit of tarmac, they just go and fill it in and make it smooth again. But can they not pack this stuff down when they're running in a race meeting?
Again, like you're hiding it, aren't you, Kelvin?
Sure, you know, the only thing they can do is pull the loose dirt back over. There isn't sufficient time to actually be able to pack it down properly unless they delay the meeting considerably. This is an absolute classic scenario of the track being laid only a few days ago, and there isn't really sufficient time for it to really knit together.
I'm sure the whole series is going to be like this, isn't it?
I'm sure in time, though, Sam, I'm sure they'll improve the mix. Maybe they'll add a bit more talcum powder, and we'll get that special mix.
At least they'll smell nice as they end up in it. Anyone who was paying attention and spotted my deliberate mistake, it's Jason Crump that's out in blue in Heat 13, and Todd Wiltshire, of course, goes out in Heat 16.
You confused me there.
Yeah, you're going to say, yeah, you were paying attention. I don't believe you for a second, Kelvin. These are live pictures. We are looking into the Viking Stadium now.
Well, this
Tony
could be an
Ricardson.
indication for
Indeed. That's just what I was getting to.
Sorry. But
no, that's okay. You can get
it could be, you know, very significant, this race, because Ricardson and Crump going head-to-head.
And Hancock, who's flying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. And Greg Walasek, who's lucky.
Well, it's better to be born lucky than rich, eh?
I don't know. I think I prefer rich.
Whoa, there you go. That's the man we're talking about. That is Walasek. We'll actually see him fall off his bike here. Down he goes, but believe it or not, folks, he qualifies. He gets up and finishes second in that race.
Courtesy of Andy Smith. We said we weren't going to say that again. Tony Ricardson.
That's with his mentor, Carl Bloomfield there, who's been involved in several of his World Championships. And that's probably the biggest thing in his favour, Tony Ricardson, the team of people around him. It really is.
He's got Ulemek, his partner in crime right there, out of his race suit. And,
well, doing everything he can to get his man moving. OK, well, as they enter the track then, let's get back to Peter Collins, a former world champion himself, and, of course, Tony Millard.
Heat 13 is the start of the main event. The big guns here with a vengeance. They hardly come much bigger than this man in front of you now, Tony Ricardson, the current world champion, a man, as Peter Collins suggested, might be chasing Ivan Major's record. This man, Jason Crump, is after that title too. He goes in the blue helmet colours. Making away there. First up to tapes indeed, Jason Crump, hoping that the bike won't flex too much to shed his chain this time. Greg Hancock goes in white, another world champion. On the outside is the amazing bouncing pole tonight. Twice he's come back from being flat on the track feeder. Greg Balasek is qualified for the main event.
Yes, you're dead right, Tony, but you know, luck is opportunity well taken, and he certainly did that. And he's in there, and although he couldn't have chosen a more difficult heat, because we've got Tony Rickardson and Jason Crump, the top two men in the world, it's a tough one.
Well, they hardly come tougher than this. Rickardson and Crump will be fancied to take the first two. Remember, this is not an elimination heat, so the last two men in this heat will get another chance regardless of what happens, whether they're excluded, whether they come third and fourth, or whatever happens now, they at least have one more ride. This is heat 13, the first of the main event. Remember, 16 riders now competing for those top 16 places. 8 have already gone. Smith, Sigelski, Nichols, Jonsson, Pedersen, Kulebeck, Holter and Furrier are all out of this meeting. But 16 men good and true are certainly in it with a vengeance. Our starting marshal pulls them up to tapes. The referee is Tony Steele in the control box, the man in control of the meeting. Here we go now with heat 13, up by the tapes and away they go. Jason Crump, another good start, but look at Tony Rickardson on the inside, and Crump now having to go through them there. What a battle for the minor placing. Squeezed down to the end is Greg Hancock. Rickardson's ahead of the trouble. Vanasek's in second place, it goes wide. Crump tries to come through, now into second place in blue, and does, relegating Vanasek to third place. Hancock's at the rear. The front two are perhaps the best two in the world, and they hardly come better than the man leading now, Tony Rickardson, as he pleases.
Yes, Tony Rickardson building up a real comfortable lead now. Jason Crump's moved into second place. Good move from Jason, because he was stuck in the traffic on that first lap. Greg Hancock's gone to the back. Difficult stuff for him. Tony Rickardson looking good.
Into the final lap, Tony Rickardson, class personified, down the back straight. Jason Crump has a bit to make up, he won't bother. This will see him through to the next stage safely. Hancock and Balasek have work to do, but Tony Rickardson, 2 rides tonight, 2 wins. World champion he is. I wonder if he's going to be world champion again. He's certainly looking the class, and well, Carl Blomfeldt and his staff in the pit certainly doing the business. The Swedes on the terraces among the 9,000 crowd here in the Viking Ship Stadium, appreciating the efforts of their own world champion, Tony Rickardson, the winner of that heat. And the sound of the champions in the background, and certainly the Swedes enjoying that. What a ride by Tony Rickardson from pillar to post. He led the heat and took the checkered flag.
Off the start, gate 1 again, Tony Rickardson, just perfect. The rider in blue, Jason Crump, gets really squeezed there. Greg Hancock was right in the thick of things in the white on the outside, but a little bit wide. Balasek comes into the picture off 1. Here again, Jason gets squeezed, but it's Greg Hancock that almost stepped off the bike there at that point. We can see this again, that Rickardson's leading. Crump just on the outside. He's a real predator ready to strike. Rickardson looking so smooth there in between. Greg Hancock almost gets pushed to that fence, but stays with it, goes back to last place, but all the way really, it was Tony Rickardson to take the win.
Well, the elimination means that Tony Rickardson will have the inside gate again when he races in heat 19. And Jason Crump's second place means that he'll have gate 3 when he goes next time out in heat 20. The other two, Greg Balasek and Greg Hancock, will have to race again. There's the confirmation of the result. Tony Rickardson and Jason Crump through to 19 and 20 respectively. Greg Balasek and Greg Hancock will have to keep out of the last two to move on further. We now move on further to heat 14 and look at the lineup. Across from the tapes, the man in white there is Lucas Trimmel, a surprise winner of heat number 8. On the inside in red, it's Michael Carlson, the Swede, looking good, looking impressive in the British League at the moment. Ryan Sullivan, the Aussie, goes in gate 2. Gate 3 is Lucas Trimmel, Nicholas Klingberg on the outside. That's the lineup. This is heat 14, the second of the main event heats, all of them competing for places. Their target, of course, the final heat 25, and the top 4 place here in the first Grand Prix of the season. Klingberg there, 10 on his race jacket. His Grand Prix debut last season. Qualified for that, was the 2008 Continental champion. On his first ever Grand Prix race. Heat 4, I think, in the German Grand Prix. That dreadful weather conditions in Berlin last year. That was Nicholas Klingberg's first ever Grand Prix race. The labels of Team Tatum. That's Michael Carlson. Splendid form at the moment for Wolverhampton. Ron Sullivan in blue there. Gate 2, Carlson, the eager. Outside the tape's a good start for the man in blue. Ron Sullivan battling indeed on the inside with Carlson. Sullivan ahead of Carlson in third place. In white it's Lucas Drimmel. Drimmel relegates to the back Nicholas Klingberg, but look at the two battling out front. Ron Sullivan in blue, Michael Carlson in red. They're stretching their lead with one lap gone now. Work to do for the men behind them. Lucas Drimmel and Nicholas Klingberg will have to go again, but if it stays like this, the front two will march on to the next stage, and they'll be delighted to be one away from a semi-final.
Yeah, Ryan Sullivan every year in the Grand Prix is improved on his previous year's position. He's gone up to 4th last year. Can he move up to the 3rd place this year? This is the time he's really got to get himself together, and the way he's winning this one, he's looking very sharp and looks as though he could be on course for that.
A battle between the two of them in that first bend. Michael Carlson and Ron Sullivan. Sullivan got the better of it from gate 2 and now has held off his rival right round to this stage. And now they're going to take the checkered flag. 1 and 2 with some comfort here. Back in 3rd place in white is Lucas Drimmel. Nicholas Klingberg is 4th in yellow and black. And it means that Drimmel and Klingberg will have to go again. But these two march on, and the man in blue, Ron Sullivan, the winner, will race on the inside gate in heat 20, and that's surely the gate he'll want. His runner-up, Michael Carlson, will go to heat 19, and he will go from gate 3 in that one. But what a performance by Ron Sullivan. He came 3rd in his previous race when he was out with the big guns, and now back onto the winning trail to win that ahead of Michael Carlson, Lucas Drimmel, and Nicholas Klingberg. Heat 14. Crowd are enjoying the action here, the first ever Speedway meeting in this Viking Ship Stadium. Well, Norway not a top Speedway nation, but they're enjoying it tonight.
Yes, off the starting gate, it was such a good start from Ryan Sullivan in the blue helmet from gate 2. Comes across Michael Carlson. Michael's been riding excellently well this year for Wolverhampton in the Elite League. Michael's riding that tight line into that bump there, but the bike straightens up, gets a good wheelie, but he can't catch Ryan Sullivan. Again off the start, Ryan, he is such a good starter. Into that first turn, round there, just on the edge of that dirt, not actually on the inside. There's the rut. Michael Carlson went through it, used it, but of course Ryan Sullivan was just fast enough to stay out in front. And basically, that's how it was at the finish. Great riding there for Ryan Sullivan.
And it means that Ron Sullivan will be against fellow Australian Jason Crump in his next outing in heat 20 when they race for a semi-final place. But we now move on to heat 15, and certainly there's an Aussie in this one in Lee Adams, who'll be going for the inside, but our own Mark Laram is in gate 3 for this one. He'll face a battle 2 with Thomas Gollob just inside him and Kai Laukkanen outside him. And problems for Lee Adams here. To go back to the pits and his second machine coming out. How much will that unsettle him, Peter, Lee Adams?
Well, if he's got a problem with his first bike, his #1 bike, you know, he's got to ride his second bike. It looks as though Gollop's having similar problems also. And, you know, basically, if you're not on that best bike, it could be just a little bit of doubt in your mind, and that could have a big effect during the race.
Do they tune them both up in the same sort of circumstances?
Well, you know, they've usually got 3 bikes, and they're probably all set up slightly differently. You know, the engines are tuned slightly differently, and basically they will have a favourite for this track.
Well, Lee Adams turning around. He's on the inside. Thomas Gollob, gate 2. Gate 3 is Mark Laram. On the outside is Kai Laukkanen. That's Kai Laukkanen in the yellow helmet colours there. Let's see what Mark can do. We want Mark Laram to succeed in this one, and if he's back to his best, well, patiently there on the gate 3 position.
Yeah, gate 3 is a bit of a tricky one, to be honest, and we'll find that, as we've seen tonight, the riders on the very outside are taking chances on the start because they know it's a long way to come from gate 3 and 4.
Well, line abreast, world-class riders in this one, certainly. 3 of them on the inside in red. Lee Adams makes it. Mark Laram comes across well. Mark Laram, can he pick up grip there to chase Adams? Laram's comfortably in second place. Adams lift. Back in third place is Thomas Gollob. Gollob will battle round the outside and is now to try and take on Mark Laram. There's the battle in second place. Lee Adams has stolen a march out front. Gollob is back in third place. Right at the rear is Laukkanen. The battle is joined behind Lee Adams.
Yeah, we've not seen a great deal of action on the outside of the circuit yet. Not a lot of passing around the outside. Out in front though, Lee Adams looking very strong and still riding the inside, and Mark Laram, a safe bet there for second place as long as he can stay on that bike.
While the eclipse of Golov will be disappointing for the Polish fans here as Laram looks back, but Adams, despite changing his bike, is having it very much as he pleases, going into the final lap, round that top bend. Lee Adams stretches his lead, Mark Laram stretches his in second place. Golov knows he'll have to go again to stay in this meeting, but Mark Laram will march on and is now one race away from a semi-final, and a fine performance by him. Golov back in third place and Laukkanen in fourth will have to go again. But Lee Adams and Mark Laram, there are the two of them. Lee Adams from Australia, Mark Laram, who races for Eastbourne, of course. Lee Adams races for Oxford in the British League. And, well, Adams fails to collect the flag, but that won't worry him at all. He knows that he won that in style, and certainly from the gate, the two of them into that first bend held their line well.
Yes, out of the starting position. This inside is just working too good at the moment, Tony. Again, it's Lee Adams off gate one. Comes across there, the rider in white, Mark Laram, but a great solid ride for Mark. Mark really has to go round the outside here. He didn't seem to lose a great deal, to be perfectly honest. Hung on to that second place really well from Thomas Golov.
Well, the official result, Lee Adams ahead of Mark Laram, means Mark goes in heat 20, and that's going to be quite a heat. Thomas Golov has to race against Benepol, Greg Vanasek next time out. And from Lee Adams' point of view, well, one bike down and one to go. Quite happy on that second machine. And no doubt as we move on now to heat number 16. Again, a talented quartet. And around Carl Stonehill will be going from the outside. I just wonder, Peter, whether he'll be using the same manoeuvre to cut back on the inside as he did in his last race when he won heat 11.
I think he will, Tony. I'm pretty sure he knows for a fact that if he's not leading clearly going into that first bend, he will cut back again up the inside. And it worked so well at the previous race that there's no reason why it can't work again.
Billy Hamill is the man in red on the inside. Todd Wiltshire goes from gate 2. Gate 3 is Lars Gunnestad, and on the outside in yellow are Carl Stonehill. Confirmation now of the lineup. Billy Hamill from the USA. Todd Wiltshire, the Sydney side of Australia. Lars Gunnestad, the home base rider from Norway. On the outside, Carl Stonehill is racing for Workington tomorrow night against Arena Essex, and he's got a rather longer journey than Kelvin Tatum, who simply has to go from Sky Studios in the northwest. Early flight for Carl Stonehill will take him to England, probably get to Workington before Kelvin will.
Well, they start late, Tony. They're going to start at 6 o'clock at Workington, and I'll also be there.
Oh, you will. Your own son Chris is riding for Workington. You've got quite a journey, Peter. Heat number 16, Billy Hamill on the inside. Todd Wiltshire, gate 2. Gate 3 is Lars Gunnestad and Carl Stonehill on the outside in yellow. Starting marshal. Oh, and I wonder what the referee will do about that. It looks to me as if Lars Gunnestad through those tapes, anticipated them, and I just wonder what the referee will do about that.
Yeah, Tony, that's exactly the point I was making about really chancing your arm off the outside starting positions. It's so difficult to get there from the outside gate, and this is where we've got riders really having a go, taking a chance, and do you know, Lars Gunnestad really made a good start there. He was first there, but of course unsatisfactory, and that will be rerun for sure, and he could be excluded for that one. There, the tapes haven't moved, but look at Gunnestad there. He actually anticipated those tapes. They actually caused his front wheel, so I feel he could be excluded, although he's back here again at the start.
Well, I wonder if the referee deemed that it's his fault, because as far as I could see, there wasn't much difference between Scott Nicholls there, but really.
Well, yeah, he did touch that tape though, so he's very, very lucky to be back in.
Well, the referee has to make that decision. That referee is Tony Steele, and he has decided it was an unsatisfactory start. The fact that Lars Gunnestad took the tapes halfway around Norway seems to be disregarded. But second time lucky, perhaps. Plenty of spare sets of tapes. Expendable, as I say. This time up goes the tapes to get perfect start around the inside. Billy Hamill comes across, shuts the gate on the others. Second place down, Todd Wiltshire follows him through. Todd Wiltshire on the inside is being challenged by the man in yellow, Carl Stonehill, and away goes Carl again with grip on the outside this time as Wiltshire bucks and rears. Carl Stonio moves into second place and now will be chasing Billy Hamill, but will he be satisfied to stay in second place and hold it there and qualify to be one race from those semi-finals?
That was a fantastic outside pass there from Carl. That's the first really successful outside pass we've seen here tonight. Carl did it perfectly, and again, he's in that qualification position. If he can just keep going like this, can we see him get all the way to the final?
Well, let's hope that he doesn't encounter the same problems we've seen Andres Johnson and Jason Crump on that same bend hitting a rut and having different problems. And if Carl Stonio can keep it going, he's tracking Billy Hamill here now. Billy Hamill has something in comfort. The challenge is on from Todd Wiltshire, and with the checkered flag there, Billy Hamill goes through. Your screen obstructed back home, but no doubt about Carl Stonio getting second place there. A fine ride by him. Todd Wiltshire in third place, and at the back, well, Lars Gunnerstad, of course, despite breaking the tapes. We can see it again for the tapes.
Yeah, off the start, Carl Stonio in the yellow. He's already decided he's going to cut back. Unfortunately, he gets a little bit too close to the rider in blue, Todd Wiltshire. He hasn't got a clear run back to the inside line. He has to change tactics now. So now he squeezes through a gap here. The rider in white, Gunnerstad, is outside Carl. Carl just moves out, shuts the door, nice and cleanly. Again off the starting gate, it's Billy Hamill that makes the start, but a great effort from Carl Stonio to get up to second place.
Well, we've got some riders just one race from the semi-final. Others have to go again to stay in the event. The Norwegian Grand Prix, the first ever, is building up to its climax. Heats 17 to 20 follow shortly.
Interactive racing only on Sky Digital. At the press of a button, you select what you want to watch. 8 screens to choose from, giving you the big race experience. Complete coverage of the Austrian Grand Prix on F1 Digital Plus. Continues tomorrow from 8 a.m. Live and uninterrupted for just £12. Call 08702 418 111 or see channel 434.
This is the Citroën Space Challenge. The challenge is which of these hugely spacious cars offers the best value. To find out, we've asked Patrick Moore. Good evening. He knows about space. We have 2 estates for the price of saloons. The C5 estate from $12,995 and the Zara estate from $10,475. There's also the Zara Picasso from $11,995. Patrick, what's the verdict?
I've absolutely no idea.
The Citroën Space Challenge. It's over to you now.
Dog Soldiers is a bitch of a werewolf movie. Prepare for a hairy roller coaster ride. Dog Soldiers.
With Auto Trader, you'll find your perfect partner.
This is round 1 of the Speedway Grand Prix 2002, and Tony Rickardsson is making, so far, a successful defence. Ryan Sullivan, though, looking to be a serious challenger here in Norway. And don't forget, Mark Laram, he's on his way, he's looking good, and he likes it in Norway. And so does Carl Stoneheuer, because Stoneheuer is flying as well. We can chat about him immediately in here, I think. Carl Stoneheuer looks very, very good to me. Looks like he's settled down really well in this particular meeting. Kelv?
I think he's riding really smart, you know, Keith. He's not doing anything silly. He's made a really good move off the outside once, you know, where he cut right back up the inside and won the race. Didn't quite put it off that last time, but he's still in the meeting, you know, and the way he's riding, he could certainly go through to the semi-finals, and that would be great for him, you know.
He looks pretty rapid to me. This is heat 16.
Yeah.
Talk us through this one.
Well, he's obviously just missed the start there, and he's trying to creep up through 2 riders there. And he's a brave old boy there, because that's very tight, and he went for the big blast round the outside here, and Todd Wiltshire overlocked, and he took a chance and it paid off, you know. Now he's into second place, and you know, first and second in the Grand Prix heats. That's what it's all about.
Shades of an on-form Mark Laram, it looks to me, with Stoney. He just has got that aggression. He's got that sort of racer style. He's really getting down to business.
Yeah, well, Carla's been a talented rider for a long, long time. He just seems he's sort of like now nearly 30, and he's probably just beginning to put it all together. And you know, fair play to him, because he's been a consistent performer now in the GPs.
I think he feels he's still an underdog, so everything he does is a bonus out there. So don't win, get a second. That's good.
Yeah, but the mentality in this type of racing, Sam, is that you're first or second, you're going through to the next round, and you know, he's doing enough to do that, and he's up against some serious company now.
Well, for my money, something worth mentioning is, of course, Mark Laram, first round last year, big problems. Here, much better.
Sure. Well, last year a lot of guys had big problems, including Jason Crump. Conditions were awful. You know, they really were. It was raining. It was tough. But Mark, as we've said, hasn't got that pressure or responsibility of being world champion, and he's certainly looking more like the Mark Loram we know, and he's more free, and he's just going for it.
A good point, actually, that you made, that Jason Crump reckons he lost the World Championship because of Berlin. You just brought that up there. He's looking pretty good here, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he got the sulks on at Berlin, there's no question. He'll admit that. And if he had ridden to, you know, to his full potential there, then he could well have been world champion last year. But I don't think he'll let that happen again.
OK, we have another eliminator coming up at the moment. It's heat 17, Greg Walasek. Thomas Golob, who could go out very early at the moment in this meeting by his standards. Your man, Niklas Klingberg, and of course Lars Gunnarstad is out there as well. Two of these will go home after this. Let's get back to the commentary team of Peter Collins and Tony Millard, of course. I was just watching there to see what was going on.
Well, we'll try and keep you posted, Keith, but the last 4 heats have been all won from the inside gate, and I just wonder whether things would change. Until this point, or until that point, of course, it had always been a mixture of gate. But of course, the better the riders, the more chance they have of securing the prime inside gate by their victory. So it's more likely to happen, perhaps, in the later heats. Greg Valasek is the man that has the inside gate in this heat 17, and there we see him. He's had an up and a down evening, Peter. A couple of times down and, well, a few ups as well.
Yeah, to be honest, Greg Valasek off gate 1, it's a dangerous scenario, to be honest, because he's having trouble with those bumps, and he could actually lift and cause a few problems here with Thomas Golob next to him.
Yes, Thomas Golob goes from gate 2 in blue, so we've got 2 poles on the inside. Niklas Klingberg will go from gate 3 with the white helmet colours, and Lars Gunnarstad on the outside in yellow. That's the lineup confirmed for you on the screen. Greg Valasek getting ahead by finishing 3rd in heat 13. Thomas Golob was 3rd in heat 15. Niklas Klingberg and Lars Gunnarstad both finished last in their previous races. Heats 14 and 16 respectively. But there is Thomas Golob, main pole, the big man. A man they're looking to do well. A man who many believe could have been a world champion. I just wonder if he's passed it by now, Peter.
Yeah, he's had a quiet Grand Prix here tonight, hasn't he, Tony? We've not seen a great deal of fireworks from him, and this is just an average kind of performance up to now for Thomas Golob.
We saw him advising Greg Valasek in the pits earlier, so perhaps his advice is told. Anyway, heat 17 now. Remember, the winners have a great opportunity. The first man goes to heat 21, the second to heat 22, and away they go. And Golob now picks it up in the blue helmet colours, tracked by Valasek in red. It's Poland 1 and 2. They are battling. Going back to the rear is Niklas Klingberg. Coming through into 3rd place is Lars Gunnarstad. But now Golob takes it wide. Valasek in his tracks follows. Can the master teach the pupil? Golob a bit older than Valasek, although Valasek himself is 25. But there is Valasek in the red helmet colours behind Golob in blue. And Golob this time looking good, Peter.
Yes, I must say Golob is riding a good, steady race here. He's just on the edge of the trouble on the track. He's just going nice and smoothly, whereas Valasek's been riding those bumps and only just hanging on to that bike. And again, Valasek nearly disappeared there because, again, out front, nice and smooth, Thomas Golob.
Valasek now being put under some pressure back there in 2nd place, and Golob certainly going through. It'll be 1 race from the semi-final now, and Golob certainly having time to look back, and Valasek is just going to hold on here now to take 2nd place ahead of the man in yellow. That's Lars Gunnarstad, 3rd disappointment. Niklas Klingberg at the back. In that heat, of course, the last 2 are eliminated. Lars Gunnarstad and Niklas Klingberg may go home. Gunnarstad perhaps has less far to go than many, but Thomas Golob and Greg Valasek, the Polish flags are waving because they appreciate that they now have those 2 riders just a step away from perhaps glory here in the Viking Ship Stadium tonight. Thomas Golub winning it ahead of Greg Balasek. Gunnerstad in third place, confirmed for you on the caption. Nicholas Klingberg in fourth. It means that Nicholas Klingberg gets 5 points and one more for Lars Gunnerstad, the Norwegian. Thomas Golub will celebrate his glory, and they'll work out at the moment exactly who he has to race against next time out, because that's going to be perhaps a shade more challenging for the top man from Poland who finished third in the World Championship. Remember, the numbers they carry indicate the place they held in the World Championship last year, and Thomas Golub, of course, was third. Peter, we saw him at his best there.
Yeah, you know, he's just, Thomas has not been figuring so prominently, but you know, he's right there. He's like one race away from the semi-finals. We can see on the start now, the rider in red on the inside, Balasek, makes a pretty good start, but leading is Thomas Golub. Now Valasek's at the, well, he's not really leading, but he comes round the inside. Now Thomas Golub on the outside of him was really at the mercy there of Balasek. If Valasek's bike had have lifted, he could have taken Golub off the bike. We can see it again, it's Golub leading in the blue. On the outside, Klingberg overslides it, almost steps off the bike there, just about controls it, but he lost all the places on that first turn. It is Balasek on the inside, Golub round the middle, that took the first 2 qualifying places there.
Well, it means that Balasek will go in the outside gate in his next time out, and Golub will go from gate 3 as we move on to heat number 18, confirming the lineup. Lucas Drimmel on the inside from the Czech Republic. Todd Wiltshire from Australia goes from gate 2. Greg Hancock from the USA, gate 3, and on the outside, that's Kai Laukkonen. Chance there to look at the map tapes. The inside in blue is Todd Wiltshire. That man in yellow there is Kai Laukkonen, last in his previous race, heat 16. Remember, this is an elimination heat. The last 2 will go home. The first 2 will be one race, the semi-final. Could be competitive, Peter.
Yeah, I think Greg Hancock should win this race. I mean, he would be my favourite for sure, but we've got Lucas Drimmel, who's been starting so well and figuring very prominently in the early part of the meeting off gate 1. So really, Greg's got to make a nice clean start from 3. Will he chance his arm and try and anticipate that start?
Well, Greg Hancock very disappointing in heat 13 where he came last. Let's see what... Oh, he's charged it here. I'm sure the referee had pulled it back there. Either that, it was very good anticipation by Greg Hancock. The referee has stopped it. He can't exclude because nobody broke the tapes, I don't think, nor were they moving at the start. So I think it'll be all 4 back in, Peter.
Yeah, unsatisfactory start, but you see, Greg, he did take that chance. He's actually went there before the tapes moved, and he did it so well. Really, the referee will not let him get away with that, though, and he will have to do it again because the referee stopped that heat there, and it's all 4 riders back to the start.
In theory, Peter, what offence did he actually commit there? Because the tapes went up and he was away.
Yeah, well, he conned the referee, he beat the referee. Basically, the referee puts the green light on, has 2 or 3 seconds before he let the tapes go. Greg sort of must have counted a small number of seconds after the green light and just anticipated that start. He certainly didn't sit there and watch the tape go up. He went before the tape moved, and it paid off, but the referee won't let him get away with an unsatisfactory start like that.
Well, all 4 back in, as they were, of course, we saw earlier on when we thought it was a...
If you could do that every time, Tony, it would be an absolute fantastic advantage.
What if they all did it? This is heat 18 here in the Viking Ship Stadium, the Norwegian Grand Prix, the first ever one here now, moving towards its climax. This heat, 7 more to go. Riders delaying and pulling away from tapes. First Grand Prix of a 10-meeting series, culminating in Sydney in October. Remember the British Grand Prix in June. What a sporting day that'll be. Derby Day and Tyson and Lewis fight the same day. Heat 18. Away we go for the tapes, line abreast the man in blue. Todd Wiltshire gets a great start here. Hancock tucks in and tries to challenge for second place. Puts the man under pressure in red, who's Lucas Drimmel. Will have to battle again. Remember, the last 2 go home. But out front in red, in blue there is Todd Wiltshire being challenged by Lucas Drimmel. Hancock could be on his way home. He only has to go as far as neighbouring Sweden these days because it's not all the way to England. Remember, he's not racing for Coventry. But as Drimmel goes down and Hancock comes through, Drimmel's hopes end in the dust there. And in second place now it's Greg Hancock following Todd Wiltshire, and Kai Laukkonen is perhaps not on the races here. This one becomes a procession, but Greg Hancock will be absolutely delighted with that, Peter.
Yeah, as this track is, Tony, you know, there are gifts to be had here, and that was certainly one for Greg Hancock, who was sat there in third place, looking as though it was the end of the line, and Lucas Trimmel lost it there on one of those bumps. And out front, though, what a start and a win for Todd Wiltshire.
And a second place for Greg Hancock to move him on to Heat 21. And he'd be delighted with that, even if he has to go for the outside gate. But real disappointment for that man there in red, Lucas Trimmel. Todd Wiltshire, the winner. He marches on. He'll race from gate 3 in Heat 22 and carries the win, well, his own version of the checkered flag. And this man, Lucas Trimmel, who's had a little bit of disappointment at Oxford this season, has more here in Norway. Men that go home are Lucas Trimmel and, of course, Kai Laukkonen. Trimmel taking the tumble, gets just 5 points. Well, Laukkonen finished, and that will take him on to 6 points. See it again, Peter.
Yeah, this is the start, and really Greg Hancock in the white didn't make it this time from gate 3. He's already decided to cut back to the inside, but out in front, great starting from gate 2 in the blue from Todd Wiltshire. In red, Lucas Trimmel just gets squeezed out here. You can see Greg Hancock shunted him there in the side, coming onto the back straight, but Lucas Trimmel threw it all away, and Greg Hancock ended up with that second place.
Confirmation of the result. Eliminated the last two, but Todd Wiltshire to Heat 22 and Greg Hancock, they march on. Hancock, in fact, going to Heat 21. So we move on now to Heat number 19, and guess who's in this one from the inside gate? Tony Ricardson doesn't ever race from any other, not really. Heat number 19, let's confirm the lineup for you. On the inside, world champion Tony Ricardson. Lee Adams goes from gate 2, the flying Aussie. Michael Carlson, fellow Swede. But on the outside, from England, is Carl Stonehewer, the man who races in the Premier League for Workington. And the Workington fans will be hoping, can he go one better? No elimination heat. If they don't fail to make the top 2 in this one, the first 2 go direct to the semi-finals. The others face effectively what is a repechage. But let's see what happens in Heat 19. Tony Ricardson on the inside. Lee Adams goes from gate 2. And man in white is Michael Carlson. Races, of course, as number 1 for Wolverhampton. Seems to have a problem of snatching clutch there as Michael Carlson. Tony Ricardson checking his. Lee Adams has gone back to trying to keep his clutch cool. That man there, Michael Carlson, trying to dig a rut to get some grip, Peter.
Yes, he is. These ruts here on the start are actually getting quite deep, and the tarmac base underneath, if you go too far down through the shale, you end up with your back wheel on that tarmac and getting a lot of wheel spin. And also you could find that your bike bottoms out, your back wheel's off the ground.
Heat 19 as our starting marshal moves away where they go. Ricardson, the perfect start for him. Going very, very wide is Lee Adams, and coming through on the inside is Michael Carlson, but Adams has got grip in the back, and another overtake from the outside there, and putting Michael Carlson in some trouble. Adams is all over the track behind Ricardson, but Ricardson is picking his line and picking it well, and once again the familiar tail of the number 1 Swede is out in front, and at the moment Tony Ricardson is heading Lee Adams, Michael Carlson back in third.
Yes, Ricardson is so smooth, but in second place Lee Adams is bucking and rearing as he goes round, and third place Michael Carlson is looking as though he's out of the picture.
While he were talking there, Carl Stonehewer in real trouble now, and he's out of it completely, and Carl Stonehewer is coasting home, but out front Tony Ricardson to win this in red, surely now as they go into the final lap, and Carl Stonehewer will have the opportunity to go again. He'll go in Heat 22 from gate 2 for a chance of making the semis. But Tony Ricardson is going to win this in red without any trouble at all from pillar to post. And in second place, but only just, was Lee Adams in blue, ahead of Michael Carlson in white. Disappointment for Carl Stonehewer in the yellow helmet colours, but Tony Ricardson, well, each and every time he marches on, and each and every time seems to grab that inside gate next time out. What a ride by Tony Ricardson. Familiar sound of the champions echoes round the stadium. Tony Ricardson, the cheers of the many Swedes who crossed the border to enjoy his performance here tonight once again. Well, Can he keep it going? First it goes for this man. Does it ever stop, Peter? Tony Ricardson, the official winner of that one ahead of Lee Adams. Michael Carlson has a chance to go again in heat 21. Carl Stoney's disappointment there when he lost control. He goes to heat 22. "9,000 people in this stadium. Most of the year, it's a 500-metre track for speed skating. Tony Ricardson doesn't care. He's showing speed, whatever he's on. He's not a bad skater himself.
No, every inch a world champion here, Tony Ricardson again. Such a nice start into that corner, and he's actually riding that rough stuff around the inside and taking it so smoothly. He's just sort of going to cut back now. His back wheel will just catch it, fire him onto the straight there ahead of the opposition, and to be always 3 or 4 yards in front coming out of that first corner, as he is here, great riding from him, and that is why he's world champion. Through those holes on the inside, it takes a lot of doing, you know, to ride those holes, because that's a real difficult part of the track. It is the fastest, and it seems to me as though there's only him that can do it.
As we move into heat number 20, they're marching on pretty quickly here. Ron Sullivan from the inside. Billy Hamill from the USA goes for gate 2. Jason Crump goes in white from gate 3 in this one after his second place in heat 13. And Mark Laram is on the outside. A truly competitive heat. Ron Sullivan improving every year. Billy Hamill, a former world champion. Mark Laram, a former world champion. Jason Crump, youngest ever winner of a Grand Prix, hoping to be, of course, a world champion. 2 Australians, an American and a Brit, and the Brit is Mark Laram, the 2000 world champion. This is heat 20. Remember, the first 2 automatically go through to the semi-finals, 1 step from the grand final, and 1 step from rostrum glory perhaps. This is heat 20. Who's going to win in this one, Peter?
I'm just thinking that, looking down this list here, Ryan Sullivan, Billy Hamill, Jason Crump and Mark Laram. Such a difficult race. I mean, Mark Laram coming off gate 4. We know if anyone can get round that outside, Mark Laram can, but what are those bumps going to do on that first turn?
You can pick any one of these 4 on their day to win it, I'm sure. See what happens. Oh, a little bit of jitters there for Jason Crump. He's made it to the end. Mark Laram has lost it and now hasn't cut through on the inside as Carl Stonehour did early on and has work to do. But out front, Ron Sullivan preceding Jason Crump now in white. Crump working hard, taken on the inside by Billy Hamill, and Hamill moves into second place. A lovely cut back by him there, and Hamill now is relegating Jason Crump to third place. He'll come back again, surely, if he's going to make the semis.
Yeah, Ryan Sullivan's now got a massive lead. Ryan, if you watch where he's riding, he's got the speed to ride much wider. Everybody's riding wider now, completely missing those bumps. It's the safe line, but they're not riding that quick line that Tony Ricardson was on earlier.
Ron Sullivan now, as he goes into the final lap in front by some margin ahead of the man in blue, who's Billy Hamill in second place. Work to do, of course, but look at that in white. Jason Crump has taken a little bit of a spill, and now, well, we know that he'd have to race again because Jason Crump is going to take last place here. The third place goes to the man in yellow, Mark Laram. He'll have to go again, and Jason Crump, with that little spill, will face another task to make those semi-finals. Laram and Crump struggled, perhaps not quite the order we'd expected. Ron Sullivan winning it ahead of Billy Hamill, and both of those riders, Ron Sullivan from Australia and Billy Hamill from the USA, will go through automatically to the semi-finals. Mark Laram and Jason Crump will have to go again. The flags are waving, the Australian flag there, waving indeed for Ron Sullivan. It probably would have waved for Jason Crump. But, well, Peter, there you had to say, perhaps we didn't see the best of Jason Crump or Mark Laram, who finished in the last 2 places.
Yeah, certainly a difficult one there for sure, but Ryan Sullivan had all the answers out in front there to win that heat.
There's the official result, with Ron Sullivan winning it ahead of Billy Hamill. And certainly plenty of action still to come. We've had 20 heats, there are 5 to go. The action here at the Viking Ship Stadium is hotting up.
Have you ever been to a party where troublemakers show up, get rowdy, start making too much noise, pick fights, and someone calls the police? It's all downhill from there. Some people just have to do it. They can't help themselves. It's like a bad habit. And old habits die hard.
Happy trails, Hans.
Die hard. Tuesday, 10 o'clock. Sky 1.
Away they go!
The British Speedway Grand Prix is back.
The track's fantastic.
At the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
Really is quite an amazing atmosphere. It's a shame I'm riding, actually. I wouldn't mind being out there watching it.
On Saturday, the 8th of June.
Wow, are we going to race Speedway in here?
Book your hot seat for this year's British Speedway Grand Prix. Call the Ticketmaster hotline 0870 4444 225.
One of the most explosive horror debuts since The Evil Dead. Come on! A bitch of a werewolf movie. You are absolutely brilliant. I'm sold. It'll blow your house down. Dog Soldiers.
Welcome back to the Viking Ship Stadium. Thomas Golob, the pole, goes through, but still has work to do. Greg Hancock was out, then he was in, thanks to Lucas Drimmel. Tony Riccarton, like a true world champion, has seen off all comers all night so far. And Jason Crump does it the hard way with a slip in Heat 20. And didn't he? Jason Crump then falling on his ear, just pointing out that this track can catch out even the best and the brave, as Crumpy has worked out. So he goes into an eliminator round next time as opposed to straight through to the next semi-final.
Exactly, and the pressure's on for him. He looks like he's just not quite got it all together this evening. He seems to be struggling with the track a bit. And I think that in that race there, he seemed to be trying almost too hard because he roared into that corner there and he sort of hit one of those ruts and ended up spinning around and dropping it. But
well, one man that isn't struggling with the way it is, he's just out wide of all the ruts. Heat 19, you've got to say Tony Riccarton has absolutely given us a masterclass. Talk us through this, Sam.
Well, he just pulls off a really good start on the inside. He holds it tight. He's being pressured under the inside, but doesn't even look how far he's pulled away. He's almost going out of the frame of the cameras there. He's so far in front already.
Worth picking up Lee Adams, though. What mission was he on there?
Well, he was on a Star Trek mission, I think.
Yeah, he went around. He went around Michael, didn't he? In the first corner, Michael was.
He did a brave first corner. Yeah, he's bucking and rearing, as Tony would say. But Tony Riccarton, as we get back to Tony, he does a tremendous amount of fitness training in the winter now, Keith, and this sort of conditions, he wouldn't be frightened of at all. He has a very strong position on the bike. He seems to be able to control the bike very well through the ruts. And I think, to be honest, he's perfectly confident where other guys aren't.
We saw Mark Laram as well there having difficulty up against the fence. I mean,
it is difficult, very difficult indeed. And, you know, some class riders out there are struggling with the conditions so far, apart from this man on screen at the moment.
And Ryan.
Psychological advantage there for him, of course, with Jason Crump struggling the way he did in that particular heat.
But semi-finals, you know, like we were just discussing before we came back, Jason obviously just preparing for
And we can get a better look at what he was all about there. Jason Crump finding himself...
Yeah, well, what he did do in the first corner was he made a really wide move, trying to go around Billy right here, and it just failed. So he thought, okay, I got to keep my wheels in line now, and I got to get the best out of the straightaway. So he's going to go in high again, knowing that Billy's got the inside covered. Hopefully, Billy makes a mistake, which he didn't do, and he still put the pressure on himself.
There he is.
Great
Of course, he is English, born in Bristol, despite the fact that
I think he might disagree with you there, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, he refutes any claim to be British at all.
But he's down to the wire now. I don't think he probably would have expected this at all, to be honest, to be in an eliminator race. But
an eliminator with Thomas Golob, Greg Hancock and Michael Coulson. This is a tough heat.
Very tough. And it's the sort of situation where, you know, Crumpy needs to make one of those electric starts and get clear of the trouble.
I predict he will make an electric start over Michael, because Michael's really doesn't seem to be making
Well, that should ruin it for him then.
That's right. You're the kiss of death to everybody, you know that.
Don't say that. He'll make the start.
That's it.
Let's take a look at Thomas Golob's stats then. 31 years old now, of course. Now, well, I've got to say, his sporting hero is Hans Nielsen, but he hasn't managed to emulate him too well, has he, when it comes to consistency?
No, he's had plenty of Grand Prix wins, as we saw. They're 9 in total. and he hasn't quite managed to pull off the title as...
that stopped you right in your tracks there, didn't it?
It did rather,
I saw that.
yeah.
So we'll continue and get back to the track while you're contemplating that.
Norway, you know.
Thank you very much. Peter Collins and Tony Miller.
Well, there are now 5 more heats to go. Heat 25 is the final. We're now on to heats 21 and 22. Both are eliminating heats. The first 2 riders in each will go to the semi-finals. The last 2 riders will be eliminated. The 4th place man in each will get 7 points. The 3rd place man in each will get 8 or 3 points. This is heat 21. Michael Carlson is the man in red on the inside. The captions confirming that, along with Jason Crump in blue on gate 2 from Australia. Thomas Golub, the pole, goes from gate 3 in white. Greg Hancock from the outside. Greg Hancock, of course, a former world champion. Well, class here, and this perhaps a rather more difficult one than the other eliminating heat, which you see 2 Brits in Mark Aram and Carl Stonehill, along with Todd Wiltshire and Greg Balasek. But there is Jason Crump. Determination, surely underneath the disguise used by that helmet. Peter, your top 2 here would be Jason Crump and who?
Well, difficult one. Golub was so smooth in that last race. Greg Hancock, I don't think Greg's enjoying those bumps very much. A lot of apprehension with Greg. Thomas Golub here turning round, using a bit of psychology there, went back towards the pits.
Well, we've got a clock adjacent to the post there. You can see it ticking down just fractionally there. Only 20 seconds to go. If they're still messing about then, they could be excluded. Our referee, Tony Steele, has to be strict on this. Heat 21. Remember, the first 2 to the semi-finals, the last 2 eliminated, and they can go home. There's the lineup now. 3 seconds counting down. 2 minutes over. Our referee, finger on the button, away they go. Line abreast here, and they are line abreast indeed. This is a very, very close race indeed now, as it opens out here, and in the blue helmet colours there, Jason Crump just about does it now. Jason Crump, as you say, all over the track here in red. In 2nd place is Michael Carlson, the eclipse of Thomas Golub, and the man in yellow, Greg Hancock. And it's with these 2, but Crump's in trouble.
Yeah, Michael Carlson went past Jason Crump there, almost took Jason's front wheel. I think Jason felt that Michael Carlson was going to perhaps lose control and take him. He decided to head for 2nd place. He's got 2nd place, and if Jason stays in that position, then he will go into the semi-finals with Michael Carlson.
Michael Carlson is certainly playing this very much his own way. Jason Crump perhaps is taking it carefully. He wants to make sure he qualifies for that semi-final, and on this game probably will. Just under half a lap to go. Michael Carlson to win it in red, and Jason Crump does take that 2nd place. The Swedish fans enjoy it, and certainly disappointment back for Thomas Golub and Greg Hancock, who could go home. Golub, well, disconsolate there, and certainly, well, Michael Carlson and Jason Crump it is that make it through to the finals. Thomas Golub and Greg Hancock are the men that can go home, and what a ride in the end by Michael Carlson. A little bit of a collision Crump at one stage there at the end of lap 2, but then, well, he broke away, and Crump made absolutely certain of 2nd place. And I suppose, well, caution was the thing he should have done, but this man, disappointment for Thomas Golub, perhaps not himself tonight. We hardly saw him as the certainly energetic, keen, enthusiastic and aggressive Thomas Golub we're used to seeing. But who knows, his time will come. Thomas Golub finishing in last place, Greg Hancock getting 3rd, but that means just 1 more Grand Prix point, and certainly, regardless, they go home. The Swedes will be happy once again. Michael Carlson has made it through to the semi-finals. Jason Crump, as he has the helmet taken off, seems to be in a little pain there, Peter, and I just wonder about this.
Yeah, I think Jason's in a lot of pain, Tony.
Well, that's back in the studio. You saw this. What do you think of that? Jason Crump in a little bit of pain, and a vital heat for 2 Brits, Mark Aram and Carl Stonehill coming up.
Well, there's been plenty of comment as far as Jason Crump is concerned here in the studio. I can tell you whether they'll repeat any of it, we're just about to find out. Kelvin, what do you think?
I think he's struggling with that elbow, Keith. I think the conditions are such that he's jarring his arms a lot. It's rutty, it's bumpy. He did have a fractured elbow, and I think that it's probably just aching, or it's giving him some concern.
Sam, he really needs to back this one, though, doesn't he,
well,
to not let
just
Tony
like
Carlson.
Just like last year, Tony came into that Berlin final injured. Crumpy's got to treat this as a bonus even being here. Sure.
Well, okay, let's go back to the boys in the commentary position. Sorry about that, Tony. I'll get across you when I can. There you go.
Never mind. I was just looking at Jason Crump's semi-final, which involves 2 other Australians, as we move on now to heat number 22. Martin Larab's on the inside in red. Carl Stonehill, 2nd Brit, goes in blue from gate 2. That man in yellow, Greg Balasek, who's had A lot of bumps tonight, but he's still there. And, well, can he make a place in the semi-final? Perhaps that'd be a surprise. That's Carl Stonehewer in blue. Carl Stonehewer, remember that classic cutback that Peter Collins described earlier on, perhaps the move of the meeting. Carl Stonehewer going in gate 2 here alongside Mark Naram. Wonder if we could get some British team riding if they got the front 2 places, Peter.
Yeah, I suppose we need to get our Union Jacks out here, don't we, Tony? Mark Laram off gate 1, Carl Stonehewer off 2. It couldn't be better really for our 2, but Todd Wiltshire, what a trapper he is, but can he make a start off gate 3?
The England football team's going under the cross of St George, Peter. In white there is Todd Wiltshire in gate 3, the outside Greg Valasek. This is heat 22, away they go. Mark Naram on the inside has got it where he wants. Wiltshire, Stonehewer takes them wide. It's Britain 1 and 2 at the moment here, but coming through on the inside there in white. A brilliant move by Todd Wiltshire, and now the race is on as Naram comes back. Wiltshire misses out. Wiltshire cuts back. Stonehewer goes into second place. Naram's now in third and has work to do. The 2 Brits are going to fight for the minor place because a brilliant manoeuvre by Todd Wiltshire has taken the Aussie to the front.
Yes, Todd Wiltshire's out in front, but Carl Stonehewer in second place. Mark Laram's in third. Not good enough for Mark. He won't make the semis in third place, but Carl Stonehewer's having a great ride there.
Well, Carl Stonehewer could make the semis. We saw Greg Valasek wheeling out there after a spill, and the race is on here as they go into the final lap. Mark Naram doesn't look as if he can catch Carl Stonehewer. It's not for want of trying, he's doing it here. Todd Wiltshire out front looks safe and sure to take the checkered flag and become another Australian, the 4th to make the semi-finals. He's going to do it in white there, and second place goes to Carl Stonehewer in blue, who wins a place in the semi-finals. Carl Stonehewer, brilliant ride by him, but disappointment for Mark Naram in red there. Outpaced indeed, and it all goes back to a little incident there when that man Todd Wiltshire came through to take the 2 of them and take the lead, and from then on the man from Sydney never really looked back. He and Carl Stonehewer go through to the semi-finals. Mark Naram's 3rd place in that one will earn him 8 Grand Prix points. There's the result. Greg Valasek eliminated, didn't finish the race on 7 points. Mark Naram's eliminated as well. Todd Wiltshire and Carl Stonehewer march on. 4 Aussies to the semi-finals. All of that coming up after the break.
Too good to miss. This summer on Sky Sports.
The countdown to the World Cup. England face South Korea and then Cameroon. The Republic of Ireland against Nigeria. The US and European tours, plus the US Open and the British Masters. Golden League Athletics and the ATP Masters Series.
Plus so much more that's simply too good to miss. This summer on Sky Sports.
Ford TDCi diesel. The loudest noise you'll hear will be your heartbeat.
Why can't everything orange be Fanta?
The Mail is celebrating the Golden Jubilee with the biggest British giveaway ever!
With Jubilee Jamboree, you will win a British prize.
A Rover car, a Fortnum's hamper, an instant £1,000. There's a prize for everyone, guaranteed. And the weekly top prize is £100,000.
Starting in tomorrow's Mail on Sunday.
Ole, ole, ole. Ole, 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 ole. Cha-cha-carumba, ba-juba-dumba, cha-cha-cha-cha.
For bigger, better blooms, the magic of Miracle Grow now comes in a compost.
Thanks for missing the football for me.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome back. Carl Stonehewer stands alone for Britain at the Norwegian Grand Prix. Yes, and it's sad that Mark Laram had to go out in the very same heat that Carl Stonehewer went through. Let's take a look then at the men that are already on their way home. Eliminated riders. Mark Laram was the last Brit to go out. Greg Hancock gets 8 points along with Mark. Gregor Wolasek on 7 with Thomas Golob, who is also on his way home. And if you look down the list, Andy Smith is out too. And really, that says it all as far as Britain is concerned. Scott Nicholls too on that leaderboard. So let's take a look then at what's going on at the track. That is the Viking Stadium that you looked at there. And we can... Oh, and there is Jason Crump. These are live pictures, so we're back at the stadium now. The Viking Ship Stadium just outside Oslo in Norway. Now, can Jason Crump settle himself down? It's a huge, huge... Heat 24, the second semi-final, has 4 Australians in it. There is the lineup. Michael Carlson, Tony Ricardson, Carl Stonehewer and Billy Hamill will be out in Heat 23, the first semi-final. Then all Australian second semi-final, Lee Adams, Jason Crump, Todd Wiltshire, Ryan Sullivan. So one lone Brit, one lone American amongst some Swedes and a whole bunch of Australians. They come out mob-handed. And of course, one thing to remember here is that the last round is in the Olympic Stadium in Australia. So that could, looking forward, a long way.
Sure, yeah.
Could be quite interesting if Jason Crump can get over his jitters that he's having here at the moment. Certainly it's getting better for him than Berlin the first round last year, where he effectively lost the championship last year.
Sure.
But Tony Ricardson, Sam, if I can come to you first in this occasion, has looked faultless.
He's just been immaculate, a true world champion coming in this thing with all the right ingredients, and he's proven it on the racetrack. But you know, like they've all kind of said in the preview to this event that, you know, there's 10 rounds, you just got to take it easy, go out there, do your best. That's kind of been the trend everybody's talking about. But when you want to win, you go out there to win, and Tony's one of those guys. He wants to win this.
Well, that's what they want to win, of course. The big one is what Tony Ricardson would like. Now, Michael Carlson, his compatriot, backing him up real well as far as this is going at the moment. Now, before we came down here into the office, someone was saying to me that they fancied Michael Carlson for this particular one, and obviously our production crew have great knowledge because he rode brilliantly that time round.
Yes, he has been, and to be honest, Keith, last year in the last 2 GPs, he put some strong performances together. I think he got the rostrum both times, so no big surprise. He's been riding well again this year. I think, to be honest, Jason looks just a little bit perturbed, to be honest. I think he's a bit concerned about conditions. He's probably feeling his arm a bit, and to be honest, I think that on reflection, he probably feels slightly disappointed because everybody's been talking about him, but on reflection, I think he's done very well to get so far.
Well, may I reflect just a fraction here at the moment? I've seen him when he's been battered much worse than he is at the moment. He's got up off the floor and he's actually gone for it. Has that just been a case of adrenaline, or is this injury that he's got here more niggling?
He has a serious injury. He had a fractured elbow that they've halved the healing time in, and ordinarily he shouldn't even be on the bike now. So I can assure you, I feel that he's done very well considering the injury he had. He had a nasty injury.
Seems you've had a bigger battering than I ever have. Kelvin, I'll bow to your superior knowledge on that. Let's go back to the track then, and Peter Collins with Tony Millard.
You join us in time for heat number 23, the first semi-final. The man in red there is Michael Carlson. Tony Ricardson, for the first time of the night, goes from gate 2 in blue. Billy Hamill there goes from the outside in yellow, and Carl Stonehewer goes in white from gate 3. Confirmation of the lineup: Michael Carlson, Tony Ricardson, Carl Stonehewer and Billy Hamill in that order. Peter, the 2 Swedes on the inside. Carl Stonehewer's got some work to do here.
Yes, he certainly has. That unfavourable 3 position in the white. Not very good for Carl, but we've seen him make the most of everything he's been given, and all the home fans here are going to be cheering Carl because he's such a good rider, and any opportunity Carl will grab it.
All those people in Workington will be raising the roof if Carl Stonehewer can do it here. Wonder what he could do. A place in the first 2 makes the grand final. He's got some tough men. They're very much in form. Michael Carlson, we saw him Thursday night at Eastbourne racing for Wolverhampton. Tony Ricardson, we know his ability. There he is in the blue helmet colours, the world champion. Carl Stonehill is the man in white. All of Britain will be cheering for him. And Billy Hamill, a former world champion, on the outside. Up by the tapes, Ricardson and Carlson wheel perfect inside. Stonehill now picks up grip. He's going to go by Michael Carlson. Michael Carlson shuts the gate a little at the outside. Stonehill will have to cover the inside. Ricardson out front. They're going to do some team riding now, perhaps these Swedes. Ricardson in front of Carlson. Sweden 1 and 2. Carl Stonehill back in third place. Billy Hamill at the back.
Yeah, I think Carl Stonehill is going to have real problems catching Tony Ricardson. The only hope he's got is if Michael Carlson in second place makes a mistake. Rider at the back there, Billy Hamill now having a go there on the inside of Carl Stonehill.
While out front, it's Tony Ricardson. Ricardson, we know he always wants to be in front. Down to the back in yellow goes Billy Hamill, who slides into the fence. That'll be an extra point for Carl Stonehill. He won't have that challenge to cope with, but the front two are two from Sweden, who are going to make the grand final here in the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix. The race is stopped by our referee. Now, he stopped that before going into the last lap. He will exclude Billy Hamill probably, and that could give another opportunity to Carl Stonehill. We'll have to wait for the official decision for the referee. The red flags came out there. Tony Ricardson is furious. He should have let it go. Ricardson was in front, and maybe, just maybe, he's going to have to do it all over again, Peter.
Yes, Billy Hamill really wasn't very quick getting off the track there. The referee stopped it. We're still unsure whether the referee is going to rerun the race. If he does, there, Billy Hamill catches that grip coming into the pits bend there, goes straight up into the fence, goes very hard.
Well, you saw it on screen back at the studio, lads. Keith, Kelvin, Sam, what do you reckon about that one?
A big lift there from Billy Hamill, and really, Sam, you picked up on it straight away. Got to get across to a checkered flag, or it's going to be a restart.
That's right. I think in the World Championships, everybody, to get a result, you have to cross the finish line with the checkered flag, so they'll rerun this now.
But not with Billy.
No, he's out, unfortunately, but you see Tony Ricardson actually gesturing almost to the referee as he was sort of riding round after the red flags had come out, because he probably feels sort of pretty aggrieved to the fact that he's got to redo that race when pretty much it was over.
Great news for Carl Stonehill. They're definitely rerunning it. It's just come through my earpiece here. So Billy Hamill is out, of course. You're absolutely bang on, Sam, as I'm sure you would have been, Kelvin, if you'd managed to make the gate there.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, appreciate that. But
Billy would have tried to get up whatever he possibly could have done, but with that bike stuffed underneath that air fence like that, maybe he just thought just get himself off the track, and the referee stopped the race because there was still a bike on the track.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. I think that there was a situation, well, certainly from the Brits' point of view, Carl Stonehill now has a second chance.
Can he do anything with that second chance?
Absolutely, because
what will he do differently?
I think he'll just try and hang in a bit tighter. I think that he'd sort of lost a lot of ground on the first couple of laps, and he was out of the race. But if he can get nearer to Michael Carlson and Tony Ricardson, conditions are such that the guys are making mistakes.
Yeah.
And Stoney's been picking people off all night, so I think that's his strategy. Well, certainly one that I would employ.
Sam, if you stare at that monitor any harder, it's going to fall over. What are you studying at this moment?
Well, I'm thinking to myself how much concentration this guy right here in our picture is put into that last race.
I'm actually shocked at the colour of his hair, actually, sir.
He's so far into it, and he was on that.
Yeah.
He had one lap to go, and he did not make a mistake. A lot of other quality riders have made mistakes on this track, and he hasn't put a foot wrong yet.
No.
Unlike, of course, that man there, Billy Hamill, exits under the fence.
Yeah, you see, look at Tony, though. He's just riding through. He doesn't even change his line. He's riding right where it's all
He
at.
really is upset about that decision because he feels that the race should not have been stopped. But those are the rules, and he's got to abide by them. But he is the sort of guy that he can bounce back, can't he? He'll be able to do it again. But conditions are such that it is not definite that he can win the rerun, because, you know, he might catch that ruck that Billy Hamill got.
You think that's what making him just a fraction intense on this,
absolutely.
At this point? The fact it is a bit of a lottery.
That's right. He's really put himself in here, and like Kelvin said, all the training he does in the wintertime, this is paying off now. He's really fighting these conditions, and he's holding them down. He's got to do it again. He wanted to do it probably one more time in the final.
Okay, Tony Ricardson then. He is strong at 31 years old. And with a sporting hero like Michael Schumacher, who can deny him a similar kind of run in the Grand Prix? I think there's a few people that will argue with that, of course. Let's go back to Contender and Peter and Tony.
As they say, and then there were three, because Billy Hamill excluded, as you were discussing, lads, and that means that two Swedes in Michael Carlson for the inside, and that man there, Tony Ricardson, will go in this one along with our own Carl Stonehill in white from gate 3. A second chance for Stoney, and keep listening. Viewing in Workington. Peter, has Stoney a chance against these two?
I think so. I don't know about Tony Ricardson, but if Carl can get a first or second place. That second place, that Michael Carlson, is the one that Carl could possibly pick up here. Michael Carlson may make a mistake, and Carl hopefully will be ready to swoop past him.
We'll have to see. Just 3 riders remaining with Hamar excluded. Away they go now. The 2 Swedes again to the front. Ricardson, the immaculate world champion in blue. But now Carl Stonehewer trying to pick up grip. Carlson closing the gate on him exactly as he did first time round, but Stonehewer going again. Ricardson thinking he's holding them up. The battle is joined, and Stoney, can he catch Carlson? That's what the battle is all about, and it's quite a battle. Out front, Tony Ricardson. Carl Stonehewer is keeping going, but Carlson knows exactly where he is, Peter. He's going to keep it behind him.
Yeah, can Stoney make it? He's trying all the way. He's trying the outside line, but Michael Carlson's now put a bit of gap between the two, so Carl's really up against it now.
Almost the team riding I predicted from the 2 Swedes. We've got the international coming up later this summer between England and Sweden, but this time the 2 Swedes to reign supreme in this one, with Tony Ricardson again. Time to look back. Tony Ricardson and Michael Carlson will go through to the final. There won't be any team riding in that, I'm absolutely certain. Carl Stonehewer, though, a credit for 3rd place in that semi-final. A good effort by Carl, but an immaculate ride once again by Tony Ricardson. He and his teammate Michael Carlson, the cheers of the Swedish fans, their flags are flying, and certainly, well, could be a great night for Sweden here in Norway if it carries on like this. The flags are flying. Tony Ricardson once again to the fore. How many times have we said that? Despite having to do it twice, he's done it with a vengeance, and Tony Ricardson knows that once again he's in yet another final of a Grand Prix. This is the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix graced by the world champion. The official result, Ricardson ahead of Michael Carlson, Sweden 1 and 2. Carl Stonehewer, though, gets Grand Prix points in abundance there, and according to my calculations, well, he'll get 3rd place, which gives him 13.
Yes, that was a big chance for Carl Stonehewer to make his first grand final, and certainly on the first lap, that's Carl in the white on the first turn. He makes a good move around the outside here of Michael Carlson, who's in 2nd place in the red, but out front all the way, Tony Ricardson having a bit of a problem with those bumps there, but still checked that bike, didn't let it get away. Carl Stonehewer was right in the hunt there on that first lap. Again, this is the start of first corner. Tony Ricardson in the blue, hooks that inside there, but coming out of the corner, few bumps there. Tony didn't look so perfect, but it was a close call.
On to the 2nd semi-final, heat 24, the lineup. Lee Adams on the inside in red, Jason Crump in blue goes from gate 2, Todd Wiltshire 3, gate 3 in white on the outside. That's Ryan Sullivan. 4 Australians in this event, and all 4 now in the semi-final, racing for 2 places in that final. So of course we're going to have, whichever way it happens, Peter, Australia v Sweden in the final.
I think so. I mean, the Australians have done really well to get this far. 4 of them in the semi-final, 4 in the top 8. Exceptional from there. It just shows you how strong they are at the moment.
That man in red there, Lee Adams, we've talked about him not winning a Grand Prix. Many of us have said he will do someday. He's pretty close to this one tonight, but of course he's still got to race against that man Tony Ricardson if he reigns supreme in this one. The man in blue there, Jason Crump. We believe that he's going to be a world champion in the future. But not fully fit, a dramatic recovery with the help of Paul Ankers, the injury expert. Put Kelvin Tatum back on the track. He's done it with Jason Crump. All being well, Jason Crump racing for Bellevue Monday night live on Sky. He has no reaction to this. Bellevue against Coventry Monday night. Up to too late. Starley Marshall moves away. This is the 2nd semi-final, heat 24, away they go. Jason Crump in blue is first to the bend. Round the outside and picking up grip is Ryan Sullivan in pursuit. Back in 3rd place in red is Lee Adams, who again perhaps won't qualify for the final. But Jason Crump in the blue, if he keeps it going here and has none of his early problems, will do. The best possible start by Crump, the pursuit from Ryan Sullivan.
Yes, Jason will want to ride the safe line, which is about sort of 8 foot from the inside, just on the outside of the bumps. If he needs to go inside, there's all that rough stuff down there, could get in trouble. There's no challenge at the moment coming from Ryan Sullivan in 2nd place on that inside. He's following Jason round that nice safe line, and it looks as though these 2 will go into the final.
Well, we know with a lap to go we're going to have Australia v Sweden in the final, but look at this in blue. Certainly a great ride by Jason Crump. Ryan Sullivan in 2nd place. And yet again, Lee Adams will miss out on a final place. I don't know how many times that's going to happen over the years in the Grand Prix, but certainly Jason Crump is there with a chance. And we said that Jason, well, he came second in the world title last year, world championship last year, more points than many winners on 4 occasions in the past. But Jason Crump, despite his injuries, despite his problems, was good enough to win that semi-final and win it by the proverbial street ahead of Ryan Sullivan. Minor points go the way of Lee Adams and Todd Wiltshire, but Jason Crump will be absolutely delighted with that performance. Lee Adams in 3rd place, Todd Wiltshire at the back. But Jason Crump feeling his injuries, I'm sure, but certainly going through the pain barrier, as they say. I wonder if for him it'll be all worth it in the end. Jason Crump, a superb ride in that one.
Well, off the starting gate, Jason Crump in the blue. He makes a great move. He pulls across the front there of Lee Adams in the red. Stops Lee. Lee was off gate 1. Now Jason's got to go round the inside on this first turn. He's got to go the fast line, but he just accelerated away for the win.
One more race to go. It's the final. It's Sweden against Australia. 2 of the top riders in the world, Rickardsson and Crump, in direct opposition. It couldn't be better.
Sky Movie Max Monday Night Action. Every Monday night from 10.
British Speedway Grand Prix is back.
The track's fantastic.
At the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
It really is quite an amazing atmosphere. It's a shame I'm riding, actually. I wouldn't mind being out there watching it.
On Saturday, the 8th of June.
Wow, are we going to race Speedway in here?
Book your hot seat for this year's British Speedway Grand Prix. Call the Ticketmaster hotline 0870 4444 225.
Tony Rickardsson and Jason Crump. It is the final that the punters expected. The betting shops, you could have got Rickardsson and Crump together, but of course they will be joined by Ryan Sullivan and Michael Carlson. And if you bet on them, you could have got a 16-1 or an 18-1 bet. Jason Crump then nursing his arm. And gentlemen, you really have to say that this is going to be a cracking final. But what about Crump and his arm, Sam?
Well, I've been working with him at Bellevue, and he was just happy to start a week before this round, and he's done it. He's there. He's had lots of treatment. I believe he'll be treating this as a bonus because he's definitely not been outshined. He's in the final. If he has a bad one, at least making the final is going to pay off at the end of 10 rounds, hopefully, for him, and that's what he wants.
How different is this compared with Berlin? Well, it's no less dramatic, of course, but he's certainly a lot further up the order. Well, he seems fairly happy at being damaged.
I genuinely think that he'll go for the win, obviously, but at worst he's 4th, and I think those points that you get for 4th will be a real big bonus for him because that was quite a nasty injury he got in Poland earlier in the season, and you know, he's come back and he's really ridden well tonight.
Well, let's not discount, of course, the other two competitors, Michael Carlson and Ryan Sullivan. As this meeting has progressed, they've really got to grips with this track and could still create an upset, although I'm not saying that too convincingly.
All night long, hasn't he? Ryan's been really going well, and he proved it off gate 4. I mean, that's a tough one to come off of over Billy Hamill. And
Ryan's been riding very well this season, and Peter, actually, in the commentary booth, he said that, you know, every year Ryan's got better in the Grand Prix, and I actually worked on the Sky Sports team earlier in the year at Wolverhampton, and he beat Michael Carlson on his own track 3 times, and there's no question the man's really in good form. And at 16-1, I thought that was a good bet, to be honest.
Well, Ryan, I mean, regularly beats those two men anyway. So sure. Ryan is in the league. So Ryan is in with a situation here where he's not psyched out by any of them.
Oh, no.
And Michael Carlsen, will he have any psychological difficulties, do you think, with Tony Rickardsson being from Sweden? Will he, you know, if it's Rickardsson, will he go as hard with him?
I think that Tony would certainly have a psychological edge over Michael Carlsen. I think we saw that in the semi-final. Sam called it right, you know, he just didn't charge for him going to the first corner. He just sort of stuck on the line and settled for second place. I think the only one in this, the other two, Jason particularly and Ryan Sullivan will go for the win.
Will the final make him change, though? That's the question. Now, we've got a new balloting situation, of course. What we ought to talk about is the fact that nowadays they don't go and pick up a grid. We're looking at live shots from the Viking Ship Stadium. That is Ryan Sullivan. Now, what happens is that we have two bags, one with the rider's number in and one with the grid positions in, and they will take the rider's number out of one bag and the grid position out of another bag simultaneously, and that will be where they start from. So none of these riders at this point has an advantage over the other. No. You basically get the grid position you're given.
Yes. And that's some people will agree with that and others won't. Well, I know that I spoke to Tony pre-season. He certainly was against it because he felt that the better you rode through the qualifying heats, that should give you the opportunity to pick the right gate in the final.
And yet, an interview I saw with Jason Crump earlier on, he was happy enough to be given whatever he was given. There is Michael Carlsen, 28 years old. Could he, well, cause the upset of the week so far, of course, because he has been riding better and better. And I actually, 18-1, wouldn't mind a bit of a bet on him. Not that I'd get it right now, because of course that was pre-event betting, not as it goes right now. So Michael Carlsen,
pretty warm in there, Keith.
Yeah, sure.
They had one of those clutch cooler fans blowing all over his face. The roof's doing its work. It must be quite warm in there. But I think Michael Carlsen has developed and matured in the last 18 months.
Well, he's made the final a couple of times last year as well.
Yeah, so he got on the rostrum, certainly in Stockholm he was on the rostrum and did brilliantly, rode fantastic. And I think
well, he's got a red helmet cover on, so that looks to me like he's been balloted up the inside. That's a nice little position for him.
I tell you, he's this year riding with them in Sweden and finishing off the season with them at Wolverhampton last year. He really believes now at the moment that riders are thinking about him more than he's thinking about them. He's matured to the point now he's ready to go out and tackle it.
Well, I can't wait to see exactly who's going to be along. We've certainly seen that Michael Carlsen will be starting from the inside. That's a blue helmet for Tony Rickardsson, so he's alongside Tony Rickardsson then, and that blue gate has absolutely been a flyer all night long. So
it'd be interesting to see if he actually no, he wouldn't have chosen it. That's what he would have been given.
No, it's balloted.
So it's balloted, yes, but I probably from the way he came off the start in his semi-final, I don't think he'll be too unhappy about that gate position.
Michael will be happy because he'll stick right on the inside again, but let's see where Ryan...
It's going to be really interesting to see what Crumpy can do now from coming. He's certainly going to be gate 3 or 4.
I think it's going to be a bit of Crumpy magic.
Gate 4.
Gate 4 for Crumpy, so he's in yellow.
What do you reckon, a big blast around the outside, Sam, in the first
corner? He's got to go for it. And definitely, if he's reading it right, like I'd be reading it, this guy right here, Tony, will be clamping the inside and not giving an inch to Michael.
No. Quick prediction from you two then before we get into this final. Very quickly, Kelvin.
I'm going to go Rickardsson first, Crump second.
Sam?
I'm going to go with Rickardsson first, Ryan second.
OK, and I'm going to go with Crumpy. So we'll get across the comms and find out what Peter and Tony think.
You joined us while on the old situation, Rickardsson and Crump perhaps would have had first and second choice of gates. It hasn't happened that way. Jason Crump will go on the outside in yellow. That man in white is Ryan Sullivan. He'll go from gate 3. On the inside, it will be Michael Carlsen, and Tony Rickardsson, the current world champion, will go from gate 2. Now, Michael Carlsen, of course, we've got 3 of the world's top 4 in this final, in Tony Rickardsson, Ryan Sullivan and Jason Crump from last year. Michael Carlsen was in the final for the last 2 Grand Prix last year. He goes from the inside. Rickardsson gate 2, Ryan Sullivan gate 3, Jason Crump on the outside in yellow. Remember, the 2 Aussies on the outside, the 2 Swedes on the inside. Sweden against Australia, but these are battling for individual honours. The lads in the studio made their prediction. Peter, will you pick anybody else?
Oh, the atmosphere here, Tony, is just unbelievable, isn't it? Jason Crump on the outside. I'd like to go with Jason, but I just think there isn't enough dirt around the outside on the first turn. I've got to be looking at Tony Rickardsson again.
Nervous times for them all, but Tony Rickardsson seems to be a man of steel. He's shown no nerves so far. Jason Crump injury problems, but this could be quite a battle. Here we go on the final, and line abreast they go again. Picking up grip on the outside is Jason Crump, but coming round to challenge Tony Rickardsson, who made the gate. Down the back straight they go. The big two in front. Tony Ricardson in blue on the inside. Jason Crump in yellow on the outside. It's between these two. Crump goes right round him, or tries to. Ricardson sees him coming. Crump will cut back on the inside and does. What a brilliant race this is. What a... Oh, Crump locks up and goes down. He tried too hard and he's finished up in the dirt. And now the title will go to Tony Ricardson. Crump will be furious about that. Sullivan is going to drop out perhaps as he goes wide here. But this man has it all right. Tony Ricardson, and the race is stopped by the referee there. I think it was because, well, who went down in the end? That man in yellow, Jason Crump, was blocking the track. They've got to do it all again. I'm sure they're doing it without Jason Crump, and I just wonder whether it might be with just two men, because it seemed to me that it was all going horribly wrong for Ryan Sullivan as well. But Jason Crump, commiserations for him, and we'll have to await the referee's decision, Peter.
Yes, Tony, sad for Jason Crump because he'd done all the work. The track's just a little bit slippy here now because the track grader had gone out, the roller had gone down, it had packed it down quite hard where Jason was riding. But here we can see Jason's actually leading. He'd passed Tony Ricardson, just a little bit too slippery there for Jason, and down he went. And Tony Ricardson, what a predator he was to sit there just behind Jason. Jason slides off gracefully there, doing his best to keep on that fight, but certainly that chance of the first win of the season has gone for Jason Crump. Very disappointed, I'm sure we can see it in his face, but he must feel as though he's tried his best, and he's got a big smile on his face at least.
But what happened was
well, as Kelvin Tatum suggested, Jason Crump may well be happy after all he's gone through with the 16 points he gets for fourth place. Our referee Tony Steele, though, being consistent, stopping the race with a man on the track. We will get a rerun. We will be still deciding who the title holder should be here for the first ever Norwegian Grand Prix. It's confirmed on your screen that Jason Crump is excluded, and we will rerun with 3 riders, and Tony Ricardson will have to do it again. Peter, how cross will Tony Ricardson be if he doesn't win this now?
Well, you know, even Ryan Sullivan's in with a big shout, but Jason Crump, I think to get in the A final, Jason's got in that final, and I think that's all he could expect, probably more than he could ever expect. And to get there, 4th place overall here tonight, a marvellous achievement considering everything he's been through during the last 3 weeks since he had that horrendous accident in Poland. And there's Tony Ricardson. Now he's got to pull himself back together again, and can he lift himself now to win this final?
What about Mikael Carlsen? Surely now with this situation, will he relish the second chance?
Well, I think everybody will. I mean, Ryan Sullivan is going to get another crack at this. Ryan has looked great tonight. He's looked very, very dominant here all the way through. But, you know, Tony's the man that set the pace for the others to follow here. And, again, Tony's the master at this, just pulling it out of the bag right at the end. And we see there with Jason Crump. Jason did everything, but his youthfulness basically got the better of him in that race, and just things didn't go well for him after he'd done all the work and overtook Tony Ricardson. But Tony's now got that second chance, and that is the mark of a world champion.
Well, we saw the Swedish flags waving. They'll be happy they've eliminated one of the Australians, so it's at least 2-1 on the Swedes to get the champion here. And certainly they'll be celebrating in Sweden tonight if it carries on. There's their other rider, Michael Carlsen, who will be going from the inside gate, exactly as he did with the original start. And the other Australian, of course, apart from Jason Crump, was Ryan Sullivan. Ryan Sullivan last year, certainly his best year in the Grand Prix. He's only finished out of the top 10 once in his last 12 Grand Prix meetings, Ryan Sullivan, so certainly he's Mr. Consistent in the Grand Prix last couple of years. Remember, 10 Grand Prix this year. We'll be at the Cardiff's Millennium Stadium on June the 8th. Got another Grand Prix before that, finish in Australia in October. So the World Championship decided now. Remember, Tony Ricardson was the last winner in the old individual format, won by the man alongside with Peter Collins in 1976, I think it was, and we're back at Katowice again this year, Peter.
We are, Tony. That's a good place for me. That actually, last time I was there, I was speeding in a car, I think.
Oh well. Michael Carlson on the inside of Tony Rickardson, and Ron Sullivan, the sole Australian now. Jason Crump bit the dust and was excluded. But Jason Crump gets 16 Grand Prix points. It won't be more than 9 behind Tony Rickardson after this one at worst. Tony Rickardson was beaten into third place, winning in 18 points, then he'd just be a couple of points behind him. But what can Michael Carlson do on the inside? Or Ron Sullivan in gate 3? Away goes our starting marshal, hopefully for the last time tonight, up by the Tex, and away they go. Tony Rickardson is being challenged this time, and look who picks it up. Ron Sullivan down the outside. This is quite a battle, but Rickardson, they say cream comes to the top, and Tony Rickardson has picked it up yet again tonight. Michael Carlson relegated to third place. Some bumps there under the wheels of Ron Sullivan, but Rickardson is going to win it, Peter, because he doesn't make mistakes from this point on, surely.
Yeah, Rickardson's in the right position, no doubt about it. We had a really early challenge from Brian Sullivan, rode those bumps. He's had enough of that, really. I think he's given up, to be honest. He's now moved outside the safer line. Rickardson seems to have got it to me, Tony. Riding great.
Well, the celebrations again will be at the behest of Tony Rickardson, and the Swedes will love this. Rickardson in first place, Carlson in third place. In second place, it's Ron Sullivan who's going to be runner-up in this one. But this man, Tony Rickardson, a true world champion, yet again takes the checkered flag for the first ever time in Norway. Tony Rickardson is the winner. Ron Sullivan in second place. Michael Carlson third. But Tony Rickardson, so familiar with triumph, but it always comes sweeter each and every time. A fabulous ride, a fabulous meeting once again for Tony Rickardson. Ill fortune for some others, but Tony Rickardson is first. Ron Sullivan second, Michael Carlson third. Sweden 1 and 3, split by an Australian. Tony Rickardson is the champion of the Norwegian Grand Prix and on his way perhaps to another world title. In gate 3.